Good afternoon. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. Yeah. Good evening. I call to order the Lake Havasu City Council regular meeting on Tuesday, August 25th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. We will now have an invocation from Pastor Kay Zimmerman with City on a Hill International Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by the Freedom Foundation. Thank you, Pastor.
Okay, just before I do that, I want to announce Come to the Table 2026. It's for all of Mojave County. Every county across the United States is having this to where everybody gathers. It's for all people together and to come together to worship, to pray, and to take communion. Because communion represents oneness, and God's calling us back to that. And so it's going to be September the 26th. It's going to be at that grassy area behind the police station. And it will start at 2. Communion's at 3. It's just a 1-hour thing. We're trying to get community together. So, inviting you all. September 26th. On a Saturday, September 26th at 2 o'clock. I have little ticket things, reminders, if you'd like to have one of those afterwards. So, let's pray. Father God, I just thank you. I thank you for this city, God. I thank you that this city has been dedicated to you, oh God, and we want to glorify you in every way. So I just ask for your presence tonight, God, that you would lead by your Spirit in this place, the path for this city to go, so that we fulfill all that you've created it to be, God. I thank you for our mayor. I thank you for our council, city manager, for everyone involved in leadership in the city. I thank you for each one of them. I ask blessing on each one, blessing on our police department, our fire department. Father God, keep them safe. We just thank you, oh God. And I'm going to read the decree over our city that God gave us in 2007. I decree over the city of Lake Havasu City that this city shall be a city of righteousness that honors God in all her ways, a city of hope to all her people and all those who come here, a city of light where darkness finds no room to hide, a city of love that prospers in all her ways, providing prosperity and goodwill to all her people as well as those surrounding her, and a city of peace to all who dwell here. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, City Council members, and City Department heads. My name is Tom Kirshner, and I'm the Secretary of the Havasu Freedom Foundation. We're pleased to have the opportunity to address you this afternoon. The Havasu Freedom Foundation is a 501c3. I'm sorry?
We'll start with the pledge, Mr. Kirchner, and then you can give. Yes, thank you.
Forgive me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We're pleased to have the opportunity to address you this afternoon. The Havasu Freedom Foundation is a 501c3, nonprofit, non-political volunteer organization. The foundation was founded in the last quarter of 2007 by Gary Myers with the guidance of the Lake Havasu City Council. Gary, our president, is out of town and unable to be with us this evening. Our board of directors are all volunteers. With me this evening is our treasurer, Vivian Bryson, and board members Sisto Sandoval, Brian Zementel, Ellen Albert, Ron Silva, and Kathy DeClark. Our Vice President, Russ Mascari, and a few others could not be here this evening. With me, the objective of our foundation are to, first, enhance the channel area for all visitors while connecting the two bridges. Second, honor those that have created and maintained our American freedoms. Third, provide an educational opportunity and support for America's freedoms. And last, to accomplish the above objectives without taxpayer expense. Over the years, through the sale of nearly 4,500 engraved bricks, we have donated to our community over $200,000 to various charities, with most of those monies funneled through the Marine Corps League Detachment 757, as well as the London Bridge Rotary Club. Something of which few people are aware of is that since the inception, the Havasu Freedom Foundation has been responsible at our own expense for the ongoing maintenance and cleaning of the Havasu Memorial Walkway area. We expect to continue to do so. The All Volunteers Foundation has also paid for the occasional replacement of broken bricks, missing medallions, and nearby signage. In addition, the foundation has replaced as needed and at our sole expense the 6 military flags on the poles that are located within the front gates of the English Village. We assumed this financial expense as the owners of the village were not interested in doing so. Our foundation has always been concerned about the image of Lake Havasu City that the city presents to the public. We sincerely thank you for the opportunity to tell you a little bit about what we do for our beautiful city. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for being here, and thank you for the work you do. You represent the very best of Lake Havasu volunteers doing what's right for our community, so thank you. Item 4 on our agenda is the roll call. Ms. Williams, if you please call the roll.
Council members Nancy Campbell,
Here.
Jenny Koch,
Here.
Jim Dolan,
Here.
Cameron Moses,
Here.
Michelle Lynn,
Here.
Vice Mayor David Diaz,
Here.
Mayor Cal Sheehy.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5 is our consent agenda. Would any of the council members like to remove any of the items for separate discussion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Koch,
motion?
please.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Koch, a second from Councilmember Moses. We are ready to vote. Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 6 is our correspondence, communications, petitions, announcements, and the city manager report. Item 6.1 is the investment report as of June 30th, 2026. Ms. Olson has included this in our packet, and it's also available online for our residents to review. Item 6.2 is to announce vacancies on Lake Havasu City boards, committees, and commissions. Ms. Williams?
Mayor and City Council, this item is to announce vacancies on Lake Havasu City boards, committees, and commissions. The following is a listing of the current vacancies. Board of Adjustment, 2 regular members and 3 alternate members. And the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, 1 student member. Anyone interested can pick up a packet at City Hall, and they are also available on the city's website at lhcaz.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Then item 6.3 is our city manager's report. Good evening, Mr. Knutson.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, members of council. Bear with me for just 1 second. It'll put the screen up. I just don't have the. Mr. Mayor, if I could suggest we're having some technical difficulties, if we could circle back.
Sure,
That'd be
absolutely.
good. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Apologies.
So while we get that up, we'll move on to our first public hearing of the evening, 7.1, which is our legislative Minetta of Pivotal Policy Group. We're going to welcome Mr. Kozlowski to introduce Nick and Brittany.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight's presentation is a brief overview of this past legislative session. As part of this presentation, I just want to point out how we work together with the League of Cities and Towns to identify what is a good bill and a bad bill. It's not solely based off of the individual who sponsors the bill or the political party, but based off of kind of those three pillars that we've identified over the years as far as does this impact local control? Does this impact state shared revenue, or are there any unfunded mandates tied to it? So as he goes through some of the key topics or issues through this session, just keep that in mind, as well as if you have any key topics or issues that you'd like for us to take a look at as we move forward into this upcoming session, please point those out so we can take note of that and make sure we're addressing those moving forward. And with that, I'll turn it over to Nick Simonetta, our lobbyist. Thank you.
Anthony, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Mayor, council members, we are really pleased to be here this evening. I'm Nick Simonetta, Pivotal Policy Consulting, and my colleague at Pivotal, Brittany Bingold. We have a wonderful, broad practice with our firm. But one of the things that we really have a great affinity for is our practice area dealing with cities. And we have several, and Lake Havasu among them, and really proud and pleased to have the opportunity to represent Lake Havasu. It's got so many unique features. There's such a terrific population dealing with this area that is very attractive to many people, both inside and outside the state of Arizona. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. Thank you, Jess. And we love working with Anthony and the entire city staff as well. So this evening we'll be relatively brief. We know you have a long agenda, but we were really glad to come down. We provided end of session reports to city management, and they detail a lot of what went on in the budget circumstance, the state budget, as well as the legislative process and bills of particular note and interest. We obviously won't go through the great depth of detail that's in there, but there was a lot that obviously went on, as it does in every session. I think it's important to, kind of look at each session, based on the circumstances that surround it. In this session, we once again, a split government with a Democratic governor and a Republican legislature. So there's a lot of things that they have to do to come together and figure out a state budget. As well as how legislation gets navigated. The Republican majorities at the House and Senate are fairly small, larger than the previous couple of cycles, but still 33-27 in the House, 17-13 in the Senate, and then of course the Governor Hobbs. So when you approach everything, when you look at everything, and Anthony mentioned the league and how we navigate and make determinations about what is in the best interests of cities in the context that Anthony mentioned: local control, revenue issues, state shared revenue, obviously a critical source of what makes up city budgets around the state. So all of those things matter, and dealing with both sides of the aisle to the benefit of, really, at the end of the day, everybody's shared constituents. legislative delegations from around the state encompass cities, and they, have the same voters. At the end of the day, different parts of the legislative district, different cities in those districts. But for example, here in Mojave, right, you have Havasu, you have Bullhead, you have Kingman as the major cities in a legislative district 30. But as you look at the interests of those folks as citizens and taxpayers, those things often cross in the context of the representation for members who make up those legislative delegations. So we have a great coming together many times and in the education process to try to have members understand that if you affect city revenues in a certain way, if you affect the tax base and various policies that do that, those are the same people that they represent. Yes, please.
And Nick was speaking to sort of the broader view down at the legislature that is something that we have to deal with. I think of particular note to the council and certainly to the constituents is in dealing with that, we have had a record number of bills introduced this legislative session, nearly 2,200 of, interest to me, if not to my poor eyesight. Nearly 2,200 bills introduced, and then over the course of legislative session had 415 of those pass through the legislature. Of the 415, 264 were signed into law and 151 were vetoed. So by its very nature, session is designed to kill legislation, right? It's incredibly hard to pass anything. And with the dynamics that Nick outlined with, our Democratic governor with very slim Republican majorities, but it kind of creates this universe where people do need to work together down there because we have, not such a clearly defined party dominance. We have this really unique structure down there that sort of demands working together or die. And so I think that's something that we see down there is if you want to succeed, you need to build a bipartisan coalition, you need to work together, or you end up in the scenario where things go to the ballot, right? We have a lot of citizen initiatives. And so I think this year, we were discussing Arizona voters are going to have a lot of items on their ballot this year where 8 referendums will be voted on at the statewide level. We originally had 11. 3 of them have been thrown out for various lawsuit court rulings. But we have a lot of things that go on down at the Capitol and certainly a lot of things that affect our city levels. So just wanted to touch on that from a unique perspective on the things we see down there. Yeah,
and just to put an exclamation point on the number of bills, for the first time in history, we had bills in the House of Representatives that started with the number 4. So every year, the first bill introduced is 2001 in the House, 1001 in the Senate. We got into the 4000 series for the first time in history. So there are a lot of bills being generated by the members, and it's a very truncated process. So the more you try to put into it, the tougher it gets. So in terms of some particulars, Brittany had mentioned, that overview. We had a number of bills that would have been highly problematic, I think, for cities, but also along the lines that Brittany mentioned, you have to deal with building coalitions, and you have to deal with members across the board. And working with the league, we do a lot of that. And bills are not always, and in fact, most of the time are not really generated and pushed forward on party lines. You look at the housing bill that would be problematic for cities in the context of starter homes, and we've seen that a few times, and in that context, it would the way the bills were drafted would have been very problematic for local control, could have had some problematic consequences for the planning processes and how things are generated from a city standpoint. And there was Republican and Democrat support for those bills and Republican and Democrat opposition. So at the end of the day, there's a lot more to be worked out on that topic. I mean, they were all that bill and others like it were brought forward with really great intentions. So it really, at the end of the day, is a matter of coming together and continuing to hammer out things so that they can be absorbed locally in the best possible way. There were bills that dealt with taking away water credits for cities. That didn't make it. There was a bill and a ballot measure that dealt with freezing city abilities to deal with fee increases. And sometimes you got to have some dexterity, right? You have to, at the end of the day, local residents will tell you what's okay and what isn't okay with them when you propose these issues. To have it dealt with at the state level in a sort of a blanket way to say, cities, you can't for the next 4 years raise a fee. Well, if you have a project or a recreation center or something that you all and your citizens want to take place, that's a local decision. So those sorts of things were able to be stopped. The budget circumstances in the state, I think people understand that these are tougher times right now. State revenues are in difficult shape. There was a 2.5% cut across the board on state agencies, and other measures to downsize certain areas of the general fund budget. We also were able, though, to not see any diminution of state shared revenue, which is, again, obviously across the board critical to city budgets and city planning. So, we overall, on balance, this was a really good session from the standpoint of local determination and control. And I think, citizens live in cities across the state because they want to have their local community have the character that they want. And Havasu is as unique as any city in the state, given its resources and its geography. So those were good results. And then we've got, obviously, the last thing we'll say for the moment, we can then open it up however you all want to go from here with us, questions or anything else, Mayor. But, you've got, obviously not a presidential year this year, but all the statewide in Arizona are up. And people may or may not be aware out in the audience here, but Arizona has the unique circumstance of being having all 90 members run every 2 years. So they are always up for election. There aren't longer terms in the Senate. They're not staggered terms. All 90 members have the burden of running for election every 2 years. So all 90 members of the legislature are up, and all 5 statewide offices are up. Governor, Secretary of State, Attorney General, Treasurer, and the Superintendent of Public Instruction. So that's what voters have before them on the ballot. It's going to be, they're also, just worth mentioning, probably between 8 and 10, depending on how you look at it, very highly in play contested general elections in the legislature. In a lot of the districts, highly Democrat districts, the Democrat nominees are in pretty good shape. In highly Republican districts, the Republican nominees are in pretty good shape. But there are a number of districts that will make the ultimate determination on how the legislature shakes out and which party is in power. So this is a very dynamic election in that regard. And then, of course, the statewide, and at the top of the list, the governor. So with that, Brittany and I, again, really pleased and honored to be here before you this evening, and happy to go from here whatever way you want us to.
Yeah, thank you so much for the update, and thank you for coming up here and for all the work that you do for us on a daily basis. I know that all of my colleagues are involved in this process, Mr. Kozlowski and city leadership, but you guys are boots on the ground. And when things are changing rapidly, you guys are able to help facilitate and ensure that 85% of all Arizona residents live in a city or town. And so when we talk about local control, what we mean by that is that we believe that government closest to the people, we see our neighbors and residents in the grocery store, and we can talk about an item that might be of interest for our community. And we want to be able to make that decision if that's what's right for Lake Havasu. Another community throughout the state of Arizona might not think our solution is the right solution, but good for them. They can make their own choice in their community. So that's what we advocate always for local control. And our legislative strategy has been fight for local control, balance, the tenets of protecting our revenue sources, which is really important. And then we have a couple of other bills that we work on, such as transportation infrastructure, working on short-term rentals. Representative Bliss's bill this year was obviously championed by Lake Havasu and by the league. It's unfortunate to make it through because it was a great bill for all sides. The industry was also a part of that negotiated bill, but we appreciate that work. And 90% of what we do during a legislative session is we play defense. We push away bills that are really not advantageous to residents in our communities. And so that 10% that we're working for and advocating for, 1 or 2% of it we're successful, and we get a bill that works for us. And one example of local control that's pretty obvious to our residents in Lake Havasu City was short-term rentals. We've had short-term rentals in Lake Havasu City since Mr. McCulloch founded our community. We had no issues managing them ourselves until the state decided that they knew better, and in 2016 changed the law and preempted cities and towns from managing their short-term rentals. And over the last 10 years, we've worked with our partners in the legislative community, and of course our legislative delegation, Representative Biasucci and Senator Angus during this last session, and Senator Borelli when he was in, and Representative Gillette and Representative Cobb over the years to get that legislation changed, which still allows short-term rentals to occur, but allows some local control so our residents can sleep at night. And so we've been successful in that area. But if we had local control, the Lake Havasu City Way would have been here that whole time and would have never been an issue, and operators would have been able to operate, and residents would have been able to sleep, and there would have been no issues. But again, thank you for your efforts. I appreciate it. Any other questions or comments from members of the council? Councilmember Lynn?
Mr. Mayor, besides the short-term rentals, can you give us a couple of the specific items that you were advocating for Lake Havasu specifically for, just so we can tell our residents what you're doing down there for us?
Yes, thank you, council member. Yes, we work closely with the league on dealing with issues that have to do, as I mentioned, with the state shared revenue program, making sure that was okay. The housing bill, again, we were very prominent in dealing and all those housing issues to ensure that there is the best ability to plan, to be able to have the character of the communities the way that people, the residents and the leadership of the city wants it. To be able to not have circumstances where homeowners can't rely on the zoning that the city has put in place that makes sense for this area. I mean, at the end of the day, right, the folks in Phoenix have to deal with state issues. They are not the best equipped to be deciding what is the best thing on the ground locally for how a city is planned, how it's laid out, and how those zoning issues work, and the aesthetic issues and those sorts of requirements. And so we think, and we work with the league and our other city lobbying colleagues closely to try to maintain the best focus on local control. And that also, Councilmember Lynn, goes back to, again, the ability for you all to determine what you need regarding fees, regarding taxes, regarding any of that, any of those revenue generating issues. Because if you're not able to determine that, again, that's difficult to determine from the Capitol in Phoenix. What makes sense for Havasu, what might make sense for Sierra Vista, what might make sense for Prescott, or any of the cities in the Valley for that matter. So I think that, having those things, not, be, pressed upon the cities in a way that hamstrings your ability to plan, your ability to move initiatives forward that makes sense locally, that you determine. Your voters put you in that position to do that. And you answer to them. So we worked on those issues as well. Very, very important to make sure that we keep that where it is.
Nick, I got a follow-up question.
Yes.
So I'm understanding the process. I guess I'm not necessarily part of those one-on-one conversations with you. So what are some of the things that we're telling you to advocate for us? I think as a council member myself, I'm not in that specific conversation. So I don't know who you're talking with directly. So I'm just wondering who's giving you that on our government side and what we're telling you.
We work closely with Anthony, and then of course speak with the mayor, speak with Jess, and focus on the sorts of things that they want to impart to us as priorities and areas of concern and focus. The mayor mentioned, council member, the short-term rental issue. There, and then it's a great question too, because from time to time, other things come up that have, other implications that sort of kind of have a foot in and a foot out regarding the Capitol, but the policy issues, working and navigating things that have to do with things like the education campus here, and how some of those things were happening and unfolding with ASU and with Mojave Community College, and those sorts of things. When they're brought to our attention, we help navigate on those matters with people who are interested in those, like members of our delegation, Representative Biasucci, Senator Angus. And so we have a lot of interaction, especially with Anthony throughout the session, but and Anthony is always interacting with the mayor and interacting with city manager Knudsen. So, but we have dialogue with him as well.
If I may, Councilmember Lynn, we base it all on the tenets of local control. So how do we ensure that we have the ability to make the decisions here locally? How do we protect state shared revenues? And ensure that, there is no jeopardy for what those formulas are. And then we work on individual bills, and a lot of it's in defense. So, Mr. Simonetta mentioned, the bill that was going through the legislature and making some good traction that was going to prevent us from raising any fee or, charge for 4 years. which in Lake Havasu City, we have a rate plan for our water and wastewater system that's already pre-programmed. It's a 5-year rate plan. We'll be discussing a little bit more next year when it comes back up. But everything that's already pre-programmed in there would not have been allowed should that bill have passed. And so over the years, it depends on during this meeting when Mr. Simonetta and his team come up here, we also give them feedback on what it is, but how do we ensure that we have that local control in Lake Havasu City? So then, Brittany, did you have something to add? Then Mr. Kozlowski, if you want to add something as well.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to touch on the fees issue and Councilmember Lynn. I think it's important too, when we were talking about, every single member at the legislature being up for election every 2 years, what's old becomes new again very quickly. And so we see these concepts that return again and again to the legislature. And so in terms of, playing defense, sometimes people get inoculated to some of these concepts that, I haven't heard that in a while. That sounds like a novel concept. And then you start to get into the nitty gritty and, a concept like prohibiting municipalities from collecting any fees or taxes or any kind of surcharge for the next 4 years. That sounds really novel when individuals are talking about cost of their pockets, but it is an absolute detriment to planning and security at the local level. And so, we had not only a bill that popped up with that framework, but then an additional 2 HDRs, which would have bypassed, any sort of went through the legislature, but would have bypassed, potentially a veto and go directly to the citizens. And then it's citizen protected, which then becomes nearly impossible to do any kind of untangling or fixing as you progress through these different processes. So just being able to be down there and be able to be nimble to what issues that might pop up and be receptive to, the direction of the council when these kinds of things pop up and move very quickly, especially at the end of session. We have a very unique concept called a strike everything bill that it can pop up right at the end of session. So again, it might be a bill that you've dealt with at the beginning in January, and then you'll see it again in March, and then one more time just for fun right in June when everybody's feeling tired and tuckered from the conversation, which was the case this year.
I want to add something to that too, because the process is, when we have these communications that you ask about, Councilmember Lynn, you're dealing with a process that you have to react to in real time, immediately. During session, there is no being tired for us. There's no being tired at 11 o'clock at night going, I'll do it tomorrow. You have to do everything in real time. The committee process moves very quickly. You have 5 weeks or so for House bills in the House committees, and then another 5 weeks, and the Senate does their work at the same time. And then they switch, and House bills about 5 weeks to 6 weeks for House bills in the Senate, Senate bills in the House. Everything moves so quickly on that conveyor belt that you have to react quickly. So, for example, and I think this maybe goes in part to your question, there'll be something that pops up on Thursday, end of day, Friday morning, and it's going to be in committee the next week because of the strike everything process that Brittany mentioned. And we'll get on the phone and, if it's something that we know will be problematic for the city, we'll get on the phone with Anthony on Friday afternoon and say, hey, this has come up. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out how we want to proceed, what we want to do. And Anthony reacts right away, and we have to, there is no luxury of time in the way that the Arizona legislative process is structured. A number of, this is not completely unusual for state government and the legislative sessions around the country, but Arizona is particularly intense and truncated over those first 12, 13 weeks of session when you have the committee process in play. And then bills can be brought back, as Brittany mentioned, in various forms. Sometime it might be good to do a workshop for people to get a little a further sense of some of these process idiosyncrasies, because they're fascinating. But and we use them to our benefit too. But they can. You really have to have your head on a swivel, and you have to react in moments during the course of the session. Otherwise, you get left behind.
Thank you.
Mr. Kozlowski, did you want to add something to that conversation? And then
Can I finish my question? So I really appreciate that process and all that. And I appreciate everything you do and the conversations you're having with Anthony. But I think what I'm feeling that I'm missing as a council person is being part of those conversations. And maybe that's something internally we need to work on, not necessarily on your end. But I struggle with a little bit with having your contact be Anthony to speak for the council who's speaking for the community. And that's no offense to you, Anthony. I know that might be the process, but I struggle with that. So maybe that's something internally we can work on.
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Lynn, just wanted to touch on a little bit of the process. As far as for me, when we have our annual retreat, and I come to council as far as providing you with a legislative update as far as what expectations are moving forward with the upcoming session. We also have conversations regarding what key topics or areas we're looking at trying to address, whether that be SLIF, State Lake Improvement Funds, or short-term rentals. And then we talk about the broader aspect as far as the three key mantras and making sure we're playing defense and protecting some of those areas. Nick and Brittany have done a fantastic job as far as being our voice as it pertains to protecting SLIF, which has done wonders as far as adding additional amenities to our parks and creating great partnerships with state agencies such as state parks and assisting us with getting additional grant funding over the years. So those areas have truly been beneficial to myself. And as far as trying to update the council, I do provide those weekly reports to council as different things come up throughout the course of the session. I'm always available if there's questions or issues, and we've been working with Councilmember Campbell as far as transportation goes as well. So we've been having conversations there as far as how we can move things forward, and then outside of session, having conversation with our delegation as far as how we can potentially move forward with short-term rentals and get something past this upcoming session. So I hope that answers your question.
Vice Mayor Diaz.
So Anthony, real quick on the weekly report that we get, since we're talking about it, is that a weekly report from the Arizona League of Cities and Towns that you're using, or is that a combination of what you're working with Nick on and Arizona Cities and Towns?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor Diaz, it's a combination. So we're pulling everything together as far as the league puts together a good and bad bills list. Our lobbyist is also tracking bills that are more focused directly towards issues that we care more about. And that's based off of conversations that I'm having with them throughout the course of the session, as well as conversations that I've had with council as it pertains to when we interact at the retreat, as well as having conversations throughout the year as well.
And I kind of see where Council Member Lynn is going is when that instance happens, Nick, where I know it's a quick process, right? You have to call Anthony at a spur of a moment, something happens, and he's giving you an answer. He's in theory speaking for all of us. So we don't know where did that, you know what I'm saying? Where does that answer come? Where is that answer generated from that you haven't spoken to all of us, but you're giving an answer. Here's what we need to do as a city. I guess we have to just take your word that you follow me?
Sure. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor Diaz, these conversations as far as we're, as the intergov for the city, we're having conversations statewide. So we're interacting with intergovs from communities across the state on a weekly basis, having conversations about different bills, as well as I'm having conversations with Nick and the city group that on a quarterly basis as well, where we talk about different bills as far as the three key mantras that dictate why is it a good bill or a bad bill based off of does it impact local control? Does it hurt state shared revenue? Are there any unfunded mandates tied to that bill? And those are the three key areas that we determine if it's good or bad, and that's how we base a bill moving forward.
And I guess we're fortunate up here. Most of us up here have a speed dial relationship with our legislatures, with Hildy and Leo and John Gillette, and hopefully with the two new ones that are going to be in there also. So I appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Yeah, there is a possibility as well that, based on this conversation, we could put together a legislative policy that the council adopts so that it's clear what issues we'll be addressing when it comes to local control, protecting state shared revenues, and the other priorities that council may have. Mr. Knudsen, did you have something?
Yeah, if I can. And then the other mayor, members of council, the other bill that Nick and his team worked on a little bit this year was in collaboration with Leo Biasucci, as he authored a bill to protect the brick and mortar boat rental companies and jet ski rental companies within Havasu. It fell just short of, I think, 10 votes in the House after making its way in the other chamber. But that was one bill that we had a lot of conversations about this legislative session as well, too. To speak on the process a little bit, too, is just that it's continued conversations, emails, one-on-ones, do the best we can to try to identify what bills are important to council, what bills are important to the community, and then the opposite, which ones are detrimental for council's perspective or the community's perspective. But it's a difficult situation because council has to speak with one voice. So for us to come back and put an item on the agenda to talk about a bill, by the time we get to that council meeting, the bill's already been passed or something's happened at that point too. So Mr. Simonetta spoke to kind of the speed of the bills, puts us in a bit of a situation, but if there's a better way of doing things, ears are wide open.
Yeah, Vice Mayor.
Mr. City Manager, can you explain, was that the bill where they were, we said protecting the boat rental companies from people that just have like multiple boats and renting them out to people without a business license?
Yeah, Mayor, Vice Mayor, that's exactly it. That was Leo Biasucci that sponsored and authored that bill. And basically, there's some overhead that our brick and mortar boat and jet ski rental companies have within the community that's different than an individual. Or what we see here in Havasu is we have people that come in from out of state, bringing in half a dozen boats and putting in the storage containers or storage units that are in Havasu, and then renting those out without the proper insurance levels that our brick and mortar companies have. So they're able to do that without the overhead and doing it the right way that protects the residents, the boaters, the users, and those that are renting the watercraft. So the bill that was placed forward would require commercial insurance to the same levels as our brick and mortar watercraft rental companies would have, and that was would have been a nice thing for us.
And I would add too that in a bill like that, we see it with short-term rentals. We see it with things like Turo with the rental cars. There's a natural tension as the sharing economy has grown between people being able to do business with their own property, and at the same time being treated on par because, as our city manager mentioned, right, you have requirements to protect the consumer and the public with insurance requirements and other things that you have to do, safety issues. So that when those things occur and you're doing a business in that regard, there should be on par issues so that people who, whether you rent a boat over here or you rent a boat over here, you're getting a safe watercraft, you're getting appropriate insurance coverage, all of those things that go into it. And so there's a natural tension in there, and we work extremely well with soon-to-be Senator Biasucci, and then we have two new House members coming in District 30 who we have relationships with both of them, and work together on matters that like that one that affect life here in Lake Havasu and doing business in a good way so that consumers have choice, people can do what they need to do, but also have faith in the fact that the things that they're doing are consumer safe and covered the right way, and that business is being done fairly.
Are there any other questions or comments from members of the council before we open the public hearing? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item? If so, just make your way to the podium and state your name for the record.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mayor, council members, thank you very much.
Thank you.
City manager.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Yes, they kept mentioning something that I did not understand. And actually, the whole thing has me lost because I didn't hear an update on actually whatever it was that I was supposed to be updated on. And I didn't understand whatever update that I just received. From what I understood was that they're down there in Phoenix and talking to people at the speed of sound or light. And they're always on the move. And that's really great because I know all of you are always on the move also. But there were 3 things that you guys kept repeating that we're supposed to be aware of, and I could only understand local control and founded mandates, and I got confused with what the third one was, or maybe I got confused on all of them. And then when you say about communicating all of this, I remember City Council Member Campbell mentioned emailing, and I forgot who, a couple months ago or a month and a half ago at a City Council session when she gave an update on the planning organization that we needed to contact. Well, apparently when there are legislative things that are concerning the citizens, I would think that you would be updating us during a council meeting or posting it on social media so we know who to contact, especially if it's something that we can help with. If all we have to do is send an email to Governor Hobbs or whoever to say, hey, let's pass this, our city needs it, that's what we're here for. We will send those emails out. I'm pretty certain almost everybody behind me, if they really thought that all we needed to do was email Governor Hobbs and you said, hey, this is what's we need to do, they'll do it. Why wouldn't they? That's a simple thing to request. But if you don't inform us, we can't do that. So I was wondering what the third thing was that I got confused on.
Sure. Yeah. So it's local control, protecting state shared revenues.
State shared revenues.
And then unfunded mandates. So that would be legislation that would not have dollars attached to it, but would require cities and towns to adopt it and pay for whatever that is. Unfunded mandates.
Okay.
So those are the 3.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Toy. Would anyone else like to address the council on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Are there any final remarks from members of the council?
No, I'll
Councilmember Moses?
chime in. I just want to say how much I appreciate your updates, Anthony, to keep us in the loop. I very much appreciate the process because they need to know our principles of those 3 pillars. But if there's ever anything wacky that I see out there, I'm sure to talk to you about it and tell you my concerns with maybe we forego one of those pillars because we like this bill kind of deal. So I'm happy with the process, and I think you guys do a great job of keeping us updated.
All right. Thank you again, Mr. Simonetta and Brittany, for being here. We appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Kozlowski, for presenting. And we will now move backwards in our agenda to Mr. Knutson, City Manager Report.
All right. I was just told to make it snappy after Nick told us it was going to be a short presentation. So, good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm going to try something from afar and see if this works. Yes. Great. Congratulations to you, Mayor Cal Sheehy, and to you, Councilmember Michelle Lynn, who were recognized by the League of Arizona Cities and Towns for 12 years of dedicated public service, and also for Jim Dolan, not pictured here, but was also recognized for 8 years of public service on the City Council. The years of service demonstrate a strong commitment to Lake Havasu City, its residents, and local government throughout Arizona. So congratulations again on this well-earned recognition, and thank you for your continued dedication to our community. And congratulations to you, Councilmember Jenny Koch, for graduating from the inaugural first ever Civic Craft Leadership Program through the League of Arizona Cities and Towns. This program provided valuable educational and professional development opportunities for local elected officials across Arizona, helping strengthen leadership and service within our respective communities. Congratulations to you, Councilmember Jenny Koch. This is a great accomplishment, and your continued commitment to serving Lake Havasu City is recognized. A special thank you to Accurate Auto Care for their generous $910 donation to the Lake Havasu City Parks and Recreation After School Program Scholarship Fund. The donation was presented at Starline Elementary School and will help provide opportunities for local children to participate in the city's after-school program. We appreciate Accurate Auto Care for supporting Havasu's youth. So thank you so much for that donation. If you're interested in if you're interested in a career in fire service but not sure where to begin, Lake Havasu City Fire, Rescue, and EMS has a pathway to help you get there. The journey can start right here in Lake Havasu City through the high school fire and EMS CTE programs and continue into the city apprenticeship program, which provides paid training and support while participating and earning their EMT B and Fire 1 and 2 certs. This process starts at the high school level. So we're grabbing the kiddos that want to serve in our fire departments and other medical fields. From there, the opportunities through fire paramedic training positions, paramedic school, and ultimately a career at fire as a firefighter paramedic. Whether you're a high school student exploring your future or someone that's ready for a new career, our fire and EMS team is here to help you find the right path and guide you along the way. The career fair is for the entire city is going to be on Friday. I'll speak about that here in a second. So it's a great opportunity to come and speak to our fire professionals there, or contact the fire department administration at 855-1141 if you are interested in a path for fire and EMS. This is again, a friendly reminder that the city, we are hosting a career fair. It's going to take place this week. It'll be on Friday, August 28th, and it'll take place at our aquatic center. If you're looking for some information or want to know more about what a career in public service looks like for working for Lake Havasu City, please join us. It'll be all day throughout the day. So in the morning before, if you have a job right now and you want to come in the morning, or after 5 o'clock, we'll be there to answer any and all questions. We got notified that the Secretary of State's office is bringing its mobile business service team to Lake Havasu City. It'll take place this week. It'll be on Thursday, August 27th. This is an opportunity for local businesses and entrepreneurs to connect directly with the Secretary of State's office rather than making that trip down to Phoenix. You can access helpful business services and resources right here in our community. The event will also include a presentation from the Small Business Center, or SBDC, will be there as well, making a presentation, answering questions. And if you have any questions about this event or the services that they provide, please contact the Secretary of State's office. The heat is slow. Hopefully, it's been a hot one the last couple of days, but hopefully the heat is dissipating, which means Coffee with the Mayor and City Manager is back. We are going to resume on Friday, September 4th. It'll be at 8:30 a.m. and it'll take place right here in the City Council chambers. We invite the community to join the Mayor Sheehy and myself for a cup of coffee, a donut, conversation, and an opportunity to hear what's happening around our city. And lastly, a reminder or heads up that we are closing in on our annual 9/11 memorial ceremony. It'll take place on Friday, September 11th. It'll be at 8:15 and it'll be at London Bridge Beach. This year marks the 25th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, making this year's ceremony an especially significant time of remembrance. Lake Havasu City is honored to partner with the 9/11 Memorial Committee as they organize and host this event, and we invite our community to come together to remember those who lost their lives, honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice, and recognize the many heroes who answered the call to serve on September 11th and in the years that followed. With that, Mayor and Council, that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Knudsen. All right, we'll move back to our public hearings. Item 7. For anyone that's here for item 7.3, the electric charging station site license agreement, item is going to be pulled this evening. There's still some additional work that needs to be worked on that agreement. So we will have that at a future meeting. But we will now hear item 7.2, which is resolution number 26-3938, establishing the Downtown Association Pilot Public Sidewalk Dining and Beverage Service Program. Mr. Kozlowski.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The city was approached by the Downtown Association regarding the possibilities of creating a pilot program to allow for dining and beverage service to take place on the city sidewalk. The Downtown Association approved a letter and submitted that to the city requesting this pilot program be considered. Through that process, staff identified a pilot program that would take effect for a year. Individuals who would be interested in applying for that pilot program would have to go through a right-of-way permit, submit their application, and define what they would be using for a temporary barrier, which would have to be brought in at the close of business every day. Those barriers would have to be 4 feet in height. And no access would be allowed to be. They couldn't impact any ability to access the property, as well as maintaining ADA accessibility on the sidewalk. With that, I have J.P. Thornton here, who is the president of the Downtown Association, to give you all a brief presentation regarding the pilot program, and I'd be happy to answer any questions if needed. With that, I'll turn it over to him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kozlowski. Good evening, Mr. Thornton.
Thank you. Good evening, Council, Mayor, Vice Mayor, staff. Thank you, guys. So we'll just start. Downtown Association is really trying to come together and enhance our downtown district the way we feel like it should be. So we've got a really good team right now, and everyone's motivated, everyone's on the same page, and we want to bring more to downtown. It's worth it. We put all that money and the time into the commons, and there's so much more we could do to enhance that and bring more bars and restaurants and more reason for people to spread out and bring more people into town. So, and more things for our city to do for our people, for our citizens. So the pilot gives every qualifying Main Street food and beverage business an opportunity to apply, but no business receives automatic approval. A 1-year pilot gives council real Lake Havasu results before any long-term decisions. We're trying to keep it so it's all city friendly and just where it works for everybody. So. This rendering shows organized condition the pilot can create, a defined dining zone, drinking zone, clear boundary, and preserved pedestrian route. And this is obviously just a rendering, and it's definitely not to scale, as you guys can tell, but it's just concept only. So it's measured site, but it's concept only. So measured site-specific plan still controls approval. So the proposed barrier range. I don't know if they said 48 inches, but we would say 36 to 48 because the standard removable stanchions are 36 inches. That's just standard how they are. That's what Golf and Brews used successfully for almost 2 years. So. Then Jersey American Grill, been there a long time. So this rendering shows how a defined patio can add activity while leaving a walking route legible. Pete gave us this rendering. This identifies that his original permitted project that he actually began on back in 2015. And I don't know all the details of it, but it didn't want to work out. He pulled a permit and then we wound up not being able to do that. So we had to make some changes to how he did it. So he's got a pretty small patio, but being able to spread that out more for a good dining facility and good outdoor facility is something that this program can really benefit from as well. I probably should have put the cigar bar in here, the slide, because they have a great outdoor patio. It's successful and it works really well. And it's been, I think, 10 years since they've had that outdoor patio. It works really well. It doesn't really encroach on the city property much because it has a setback. So it's very minimal. But I mean, I talked with Brady. He actually supports this whole program for the street. So, So here's another one. Flying X. Obviously, we all know Flying X. So this just reinforces that the corridor-wide program, not really for special treatment for just one business. So a defined area can activate another frontage while remaining organized and reviewable by staff and by city. So again, this is concept only, obviously not to scale. The patio would never be able to be that big regardless, but same standards apply regardless of the business name or frontage. So Weaver Falls, so our newest downtown attraction. So this shows how the same defined patio approach can adapt to another Main Street frontage. Different storefronts may require different layouts, but the same standards will apply no matter what the business is, no matter what bar or restaurant it is. So the defined patio is organized, visible, and it's easier for staff to inspect. Our city code, section 140303E4 permits outdoor dining. So the current code says permitted and approved conditional food and beverage service uses are permitted to have outdoor dining areas. So you guys read the details on it. The code says food and beverage service uses. It doesn't say restaurants only. The same section allows sidewalk seating and dining during regular business hours with frontage, 4-foot clearance, daily removal, city engineer approval, and indemnification controls. So the pilot can add neutral, published eligibility and compliance standards. Equal opportunity to apply still does not mean automatic approval. So everyone has to still go through, make sure it fits all the codes, everything we need for accessibility, which is huge, safety, make sure the hours are correct, make sure the hours, it's based on the hours of the building or of the business, no permanent structures. Let's make sure that everything, even if it is a wrought iron fence, but at least everything inside of it is removable and can be taken away. So where it doesn't look cluttery. We don't want Main Street to look cluttered or anything like that. We just want it nice and clean. And during business hours, we want people to be able to go down there and enjoy it and enjoy our downtown. So, and we want to make sure the city stays protected, obviously, because this is we are requesting to be on city property. So we definitely want to protect that 100% because none of us needs any problems, and we want this program to work. So everybody would be in compliant and be held by those standards no matter what. That's important to all of us. So the ADA access, this is our first approval test. The accessible route is a condition of approval and continuous, not like perfectly straight, but the route may shift around trees, planters, street lights, and similar fixed fixtures. We require clear width and maneuvering space remain available, but no matter what, make sure it's at least 4 feet minimum. Maybe some of the corners might be different. It needs to be approved by, if that needs to be a little more turning radius where we're not just exactly 4 feet, that's totally understandable. Again, we don't want it to inconvenience anybody. We want it to be good for everybody. We want everybody to be able to utilize this no matter who you are. And ADA compliance is big. We actually have quite a few ADA customers that come to our building almost every day. So, and there was never any issues. We did almost 2 years with those stanchions out there, and it worked great. We never received any complaints. There may have been some complaints. That's probably why we lost it, but we want to bring it back correctly and make sure that this works for not only the people but for the city as well. The defined space is safer. So what we do experience downtown right now, that sidewalk, it's like a speedway for bikes and e-bikes, and it's pretty crazy. It's wild. And you can ask, if you guys ask any business owner that's on Main Street, it's uncomfortable. And all of a sudden you're sitting there and all of a sudden you hear a bike that just went by. We have a lot of ADA people, we have a lot of seniors and it's dangerous. We've watched a lady get hit by a bike. Nothing was bad, no major injuries or anything like that, but it just showed us it's dangerous. So actually having these to where it's not such an easy path, it actually slowed people down, and everyone just slowed down and they just took their time and got through it, and then boom, and then they're off until they get to another obstruction. So it helps for safety, and it really does. And I'm saying that from firsthand experience. So that's another benefit of it. Again, the city is going to inspect, and you can revoke, suspend any of this at any time. This isn't a program where it's going to be a 1-year pilot and then all of a sudden everybody gets it for a year and then we'll just see what happens. No, everyone's on notice and everyone has to follow, everyone has to comply, or they lose their privilege. And if the general program doesn't work in a year, then it just expires. But we gave it a shot. We gave the community a shot to do it and try it. And that's what we're going for. And this slide shows studies. This is what the downtown is supposed to be about. So these old Rudat studies, I read this a few years ago from 2007, and that's really what they're trying to do is for the community for downtown and make it more user-friendly, pedestrian-oriented, and that's what even our current general plan right now, 2016, and then now the 2026 plan. That's been adopted by you guys as well. It's not ratified yet, but it still says the same. It still wants the same things for downtown. So it really hasn't changed. So all we're doing with this is trying to let's utilize that and let's actually bring what we need downtown and add some more to it. And these are other cities that use the same program, and these are ones that are in public right away. There may be more, but this was just a quick check. So we're not the first ones to do that. I've been told that this is new. No other city's done that in Arizona. It's not a thing, but they actually have in public right away, not just outdoor use, but actually in public right away. So rules, laws are a little bit different, but it's all the same standards. They still run on city operated rules based on what the city needs. All right, is it? So this is the last one. So just want to approve. See if we can get approved. Let's try this. Let's try this for a year. Let's measure it. Try to close on a cautious decision. 1 year, objective eligibility, staff oversight, measurable results, and an expiration date. So equal standards protect responsible businesses and the city. They do not guarantee approval to every applicant. So it's kind of all I got. So let's just figure out how we could make this happen for our citizens and for our people, and rather than how to figure out why we can't. So, but I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Thornton, for working together with the association and bringing this forward. A couple of things just based on your slideshow. It has to be removable barriers, and they would be taken in each day. Your examples didn't show it. I just want to make sure we understand exactly what it is. Okay.
We would like to have the option not to. Obviously, it'd be expensive for us to put it up, and then we lose the program, and then we don't. But
yeah. So currently, it's the way it's written in the proposed resolution is that in the morning you'd come put your barriers out, you would operate, and then you would put your barriers back inside your storefront. Is that how you understand it? That's how it's written. So I just want to make sure you understand.
Yeah, I probably should have added to be able to have that option, but I just would probably want to have that discussion and see if we could do. It's almost like, because it's a pilot program, could we even put wrought iron up and do that? But I don't know how that could work right away. How we'd be able to do that, because we'd obviously have to anchor it down somehow, and so that would be.
So there in the other communities that you mentioned, there's fencing that could be wrought iron that's on wheels that can you can move it and adjust it. I mean, there's lots of places have these types of things where they have removable barriers. But I just want to make sure you understand that we can talk the talking points over and get the feedback from the council. The other thing that you mentioned in this resolution, the temporary barriers must be a minimum of 48 inches. You'd mentioned 36 to 48. Currently, it's written as 48, so it would have to be 48. Is that an issue that we would need to discuss?
We would need to discuss because if we have removable stanchions, they are 36 inches.
Okay.
And that's what we tried and tested for almost 2 years.
And then also in some of your comments, you had mentioned at the close of business, but the resolution in front of us has the pilot program that it has no operation shall occur past 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and past 11 p.m. on Friday, Saturday, and holidays.
Right. We would need to go off the business hours. I think I put like during business hours, right, in there. So it would need to be like
is what I just read. It's Sunday through Thursday, 10 p.m. and Friday, Saturday, and holidays till 11 p.m.
Okay. Yeah, I think that one we wrote that like quite a while ago, and I probably should have revisited that.
Okay. All right. Questions, comments from members? Yeah, Vice Mayor Diaz.
Quick question. So when JP, when outside dining and bars and restaurants, this is also for non-bars and restaurants. Like if someone had, like the antique store wants to put little antiques in a little area outside, or any of the other stores, all retail staff, they're also a part of this program.
We would like that initially when we were discussing it within the association, that we would like to be able to do that, but we think probably we may need to, for the pilot program, let's test it first with doing it just the bars and restaurants. Unless, I mean, if we could write this up and revisit on being able to do this and make it make sense, I just haven't had any conversation with you guys to see what would.
Yeah, I get it.
If we can add a little bit, we wanted to, but we're like, we want to get it started. We would love to start with it and try to keep it simple at first, because we don't want a bunch of clutter again too on Main Street as well. So that would have to be written up differently as well. Even during the day, like we just don't want the cluttery. We kind of want it more outdoor dining and seating and pleasant. Like now we have Bagel Bin that just came in. I was like, that'd be great for them to get some seats out there, and they have some space, so.
And I noticed on letter F, it says remove all items, trash removal, cleaning. If people are drinking beer and beer drops on the ground, or a drink it gets really sticky, are they going to? We should get really specific about pressure washing, because if you just wipe it or something, it's not. I mean, it gets really, alcohol gets really sticky on the sidewalk. So it should be an actual pressure wash. It sounds like though we have some homework to do, because I've got 48 inches and he's mentioned 36, and then the barriers or stanchions, so there needs to be some homework done, and the times they take up and down. We have to get some homework, some things clarified.
That's correct. I mean, to taking it down, I mean, it's pretty quick. They just retract and you
I mean, as far as 11 o'clock, it says the 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock.
Yeah, we will have to probably adjust those times then, just to give it more time, just in case people are open, the hours are later. So that's why I was more being like, it's got to be more business specific based on the business hours.
Vice Mayor Diaz, it is. This would be only for dining and beverage services. So the antique store.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Yeah, we would definitely want to revisit that down the line, because we do want all of Main Street to be able to thrive more. So,
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes. First off, the cigar bar is a wonderful example, because I was actually the person that designed that building, and I designed it set back for a reason. And then when I was trying to put something up back in the day, they demanded, I think it was almost 6 feet. But then they squished it down to 4 feet so that they could do that, because then we didn't encroach that much in. Matter of fact, I think it's only inches that's encroached. And so now when I look at the standards, because I do some designs for commercial stuff, the minimum standard is usually about 6 feet. And then you have a 24-inch car hangover. So when, like that picture you saw of Flying X, I can do 3D graphics and I can make them look really great. And it was beautiful. All your presentations were gorgeous. I was like, I so want this. This is what I wanted before.
I wish I had time to put those to more scale.
It would be all
make
great.
It more realistic,
but in other cities and towns, we'll use Kingman as an example. They came in and they spent a lot of money. They extended their concrete out.
Right.
They shrunk the sidewalk. I mean, they expanded the sidewalks and they shrunk the roadway.
Right.
I was just there. They put planters all in there now.
Right.
It's not even, they quit doing it because they said it just didn't work. So even though the cities invested a bunch of money to help get this visual, at the end, they said they didn't have, there was just not enough people that took advantage of it. Go up there, you'll see where they had I don't know if any of you guys went. It used to be like a big alcove that came in and there was like benches all in there or picnic benches and everything. They're all gone. They're planters now. Right. So I don't want to make the same mistake, but I will tell you, if some of those spots where you have to squeeze in between the trees that we have now are less than 4 feet right now. When we did when I was part of the assessment, that cost me like $6,000. It's a one-time assessment to improve all the concrete and everything else. That was where those conversations were discussed. Can we widen them? Can we do this? And they chose not to do it. And then they also did not do handicap accessible. So those are two things. I remember showing up to those meetings 20 years ago going, you're assessing me thousands of dollars to improve my parking lots, replace the benches, and replace the light fixtures that actually fell over and rotted at the base. Almost took somebody out. Even though I'm paying property taxes, I still was assessed at an enormous amount, but we were not heard. I'm not saying that's your fault today, but the problem is I wish we would have been heard because I would have had bigger gaps between. So maybe you could have encroached. I see this in front of you. I wish you had it. I just think if you want this, you're going to have to do what the Scar Bar did at the beginning. You are doing a big remodel. I think that you could recess it back. I don't know. It's going to take a little more engineering. I know how much money it's going to cost to build what you want to build.
We're already pretty deep on them.
Yeah, we all are pretty deep when we do anything, right? But I think there's a way that we could recess back without being on city property. And this would be a great conversation for me if we didn't have 4-foot areas already. And again, nobody's taking into the fact we have a 24-inch hang when your car parks on that sidewalk. So when you see that 4-foot right here, and they're like, oh, no problem. We're going to get our 4 foot. But realistically, when you get a 24-inch hang, some trucks are even more than that. When they back in with which everybody loves boats here, and they back in, I'm concerned that it's just not the right streets and roads for us. I love your vision. You could do it right now. I mean, all those pictures, almost makes me emotional. It's what I dreamed of when I bought my building back in the day and I built. That was my dream for downtown. I just think that the buildings there are very old. And I think if they need to be retro, they're going to have to be pushed away because I don't think that we're going to be able to come out. That's just my opinion. And I've done this for a long time and I had your same vision. And I even had property down there and I fought with all the things you're doing to make that place amazing. And I thank you for that.
Thank you.
I love the vision.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The Cigar Bar, you have plenty of space, a lot more than that. I mean, you did a setback, but you're like way off the sidewalk. You're off the curb.
No. We recessed all the way back.
Right.
And then you'll see where the overhang is, that same awning. That is the property line. We only went in about 3 to 6 inches tops. I mean, that was when Brady came in because when I was there, I was told I can't do that because we needed 6 feet. Since then, they reduced it to 4 feet. I don't know who did that, but it was a long time ago. So I'm talking, I sold that bar 12 years ago. So I'm going back.
Right.
Probably older than you are. Okay. When I was doing that stuff. So it was a long time ago, but it was a 6 foot setback for handicap and also the encroachment of the vehicles. And since then they've made it down 4. I think they were trying to accommodate a lot of people, including Jerseys and Flying X and Legends. They all tried to, if you wanted to put bar stools on the outside, I think that's why they reduced it down to 4 feet. And I'm glad they did that. But in the meantime, I know the bar we intentionally set it way back for a reason.
Right.
Okay.
But regardless if we have to do it, we still have to stay in compliance. Like you said, like some of them are even narrower than 4 feet. So no matter what, if we have to keep that, we have to keep that. So some places may not be eligible because of the space, the distance, because that would obviously cause an ADA compliance issue and a safety issue and all kinds of.
And I believe a lot of them already have an ADA in compliance. As soon as a vehicle parks in there, I had a walker for 8 months too, so I know what it takes to navigate. And they don't have any handicap accessible on those sidewalks. We had an opportunity, but we just didn't do it back then.
So, I mean, that would be okay because, I mean, a lot of them are parallel, like the curbs are parallel. Some of them go in to where there's an overhang. Otherwise, it's just parallel, right, to the curb. That's where a lot of the parking spots are. So, but again, that would come with what you're saying, then that needs to be put in consideration as well. Because we don't want to cause any issues or problems, because then that's problems for the business owner, has problems for the property owner if they're renting, has problems for the city. And why do we want that? We just need a program.
How many feet do you think you're going to come out? How many feet and I don't like the temporary thing. I owned a bar. I don't know how at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I tell everybody in the bar, take all your things with you. I just don't. And who's going to police that? And I have confusions, but how many feet are you planning on coming out on your building?
Are you talking for the big building or for the Golf and Ruse building, right?
Whichever one that you want to encroach. You want both of them to be encroached, or you just wanted one?
Yeah, well, I want every bar. This isn't about.
I know, but how many feet or inches do you think you need to actually put a table or give that perception that you gave?
Well, I'm going the other direction. I'm going, how far off the curb do we need to be? And then that's going to determine how much.
But as somebody that builds bars, you have to have like at least a 24-inch table, 2 chairs on the side. You're going to have to push back at 2 feet.
We have room because the big building, it's already set back a little bit more. Okay. It's already set back a little bit more than like it's about 16 inches farther back than like what Golf and Ruse is right now. So, and then we have it already drawn up to actually set it back a little bit more, but we want to be able to create more patio space, but we want to be able to come out because we want nice patio, nice couches and good seats and little nice little fire things out there, like just our outdoor environment, just to increase our outdoor environment. And
I think you're going to need more space.
Will be able to do
You're going to need a lot more space to get what you're looking for. You're going to need at least 6 feet out,
which is fine. We have it.
You have 6 feet and then still have 4 feet before.
We do.
Well, minus the 2.
We have about 14 feet right now.
From your building to
the curb. We have a pretty good amount of space.
Okay. Again, I'm not out there every day. I'm just telling you the concerns I've had. And I don't like the city, on city property, because I do agree that a lot of things get spilled and they're dirty and the streets I used to power wash that thing all the time, because it used to get dirty constantly. Yep. But I do love your vision. I hope it would all work out, but I have some concerns. That's all. Thank you.
Councilmember Campbell. Councilmember Lynn?
Mr. Mayor, I think what we have in front of us, this resolution, doesn't exactly match some of the things that you're asking for. So to even vote on this probably would not be good for us or for you, because I'm reading the same things with bringing things in at certain times, the removing them, the telling the people go back inside. There's a lot of issues with the way this is written and what you want to do. So I don't think you'd be happy with this either if we voted on the way it's written today. But I think I kind of have some questions legally, because you're asking to do business on city property. And so I hate to put our city attorney in this position, but are there some things that we would be looking at if something happened? And I want to know how that outweighs, like, how are we benefiting our Lake Havasu residents if there's the risks involved?
It would still insure, just like when we had our Golf and Ruse patio out there for a while, we had the city as additionally insured. So no matter what, that would still, again, it all has to fall into play. Then everything has to work. We have to be compliant. We got to make sure that the city is on board and we're safe and we're legal and everybody's in compliant.
Can our city, I appreciate it. I just want to hear from our city attorney what that looks like, because it is city property. And if something happens on it, even though and they're not even leasing it, we're just giving it to them. Is there a cost involved? Like, are we just giving it to them? Or are they paying us to use it?
I think those are still some of the discussions to be had by council. So mayor and council, I think it's important to point out. So the city received a request from the association to create this pilot program or to allow this activity. And so staff took that information and we worked all the different departments together in creating this resolution. So it's not necessarily incorporating everything that the association is asking for, but we're trying to put some parameters into place that we believe protects a lot of different things, whether it's navigability or safety or whatever it may be. So that's why you're seeing some of the things in the ordinance or the resolution that don't quite match up with what you're being asked by the presenter to approve. And so that's one thing. So we've tried to address some of the concerns that are had by different departments in the resolution. beyond the resolution, yes, there are some concerns with extending the activity of allowing the consumption of alcoholic beverages on the city sidewalk. And so it's something that we do commonly. We do that with special events and extension of property. So it's something that occurs occasionally or frequently, but not necessarily on a permanent basis. And so this is extending what we might see for a special event to something that's more permanent. And it's not something that we have typically done. And so as you've mentioned before in the past, there's been a requirement that they have to keep whatever openness onto their own property. So we're kind of expanding now out into the sidewalk with this pilot program. And so that's part of the reason why it's a pilot program. Not sure how it's going to work. There are other cities. Our own city allows dining out into the sidewalk. And so we have the parameters in there where you place it out there and then you remove it at the night. None of them are permanent. Other cities do allow dining into maybe their city-owned property. When we were doing our research, we couldn't locate another city that allowed the extension of the premise for the service of alcohol on a permanent basis. And so if we missed that, we're happy to get that information from other cities. So it was hard to assess, what does this mean? What types of risks are associated with that activity? Particularly, it's different between what may happen during the day and what may happen during the evening and how that will be controlled. We're not sure what that'll look like. That's part of the pilot program to see if that's something, is that a concern valid or not?
Thank you, Kelly. And I have another question. So this is being brought to us by the Downtown Association. How many businesses that are restaurant, bar, dining, beverage, are interested in doing this? How many have come to the table, part of your association, that have asked to do this?
Everyone that we've talked to they've been on board with this.
Even the ones that already have, and I'm going to say this and no offense, but have done it the right way in the past, have brought them in, like they're okay with that they put, I mean, I know everything's not fair, but I'm just saying some of these businesses in the past had put a lot of money into doing it the correct way according to our code. And now we're having other businesses ask to not do that way. So what is the feeling within that? I don't go to your meeting, so I don't know how that.
Well, everybody wants to do it the way the code's written, but we somehow can't. Like we're not able to, even though the code, like what was on slide 6, I think it was, that's the way it's already written. We're really not trying to change what's already. We just want to enhance it and actually make it, let's put it into use. It just it's not being utilized, but the code's written that we can do it. It says outside food and beverage on the patio on
on your own private property. The difference is the public property.
Yeah. Not on city property.
So our code currently speaks to if you had private property and you wanted to have that outdoor dining, that's what on slide 6 that you presented us. The difference here is public property.
Public and private.
Yeah.
I want to kind of answer your question, Michelle. I think Councilmember Lynn, I reached out to Peter Naval. He did it the right way, as you said. He said he was I didn't know what he was going to say. He said he was 100% in favor of this. Yeah, just for that information.
Thank you. I like the design. I like all that. I'm kind of a stickler for playing by the rules, and
the designs were really quick, and every design that you saw was they sent it to me because they're like, hey, I would say, hey, put something out. They give me a rendering, so there's a quick AI rendering. So I just plugged those into the.
I would be uncomfortable voting on it the way that it's written today because I don't think it matches what you want to do, and I don't want to challenge you later or you challenge us later. I would rather clean it up. It comes back to us. And then I'd also like to look a little bit more at the legalities of it. I understand that you'll have insurance on it, but let's be honest, there's people that are sue happy and they like to sue the city for everything. So
100%.
I just would like to see what that
businesses,
looks like.
We get that. And that's why we're very we need it good for everybody because that's just problems that none of us, they just cost us time and money and we don't want to have to worry about that.
I just don't feel comfortable voting on it the way it is written today because I don't think it matches what you want.
Are you opposed? But do you like the idea and how it is? Like, could we figure out, maybe we could just do a no vote today and let's try to fine tune everything to where we can.
We could just table it. We could just table it and come back to it. We don't have to vote on it.
And I mean, I'm all for sitting down with you guys on different at a different time, and let's make it to where it works and makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. But everybody that knows me, I always have an optimistic view on everything. So like, I always want to figure out how to make things happen and how to get it done. So I'm all for putting some time in with you guys.
I think an important comment that Ms. Gary made was that the resolution in front of us is taking what the association wanted and what our city team put together. So this is what everyone was comfortable with, from police, fire, public works, development services, so on and so forth. So that's what the differences are from that component. Did you have anything to add, Ms. Gary?
Nope, that's all, Mayor, that I wanted to add. If there's certain aspects that council would like to see changed in the resolution that they think would accomplish the goal, then we just need the direction from council to make those changes. Either we can make those changes and approve it, or we make those changes and bring them back at a later time. But there will have to be some weighing of the risks in whatever decisions you make on what you want to change.
Mayor,
Councilmember Campbell.
I have a question for the street department. Can I speak to Mr. Young or one of our engineers here? I would like to see what I was talking about, if this is a concern for them or is it just a concern for me? And I'm talking street events, clearance, all of the things that was a concern years ago.
Mayor, Councilor Campbell, Public Works, as part of the process, we're constantly receiving permits to do work in the public right-of-way. Obviously, in this case, the comments that have been made about ADA, the clearance absolutely has to be the minimum of 4 feet. It has to be, we can't serpentine. It really does have to be clear of trailer hitches, people backing across, encroaching onto the sidewalk with vehicles. That's been talked about already. The thing that becomes a challenge is we would issue a right-of-way permit for this activity. The requirement to make sure that the 4 feet, at least 4 feet minimum, is met is going to fall to code enforcement, because a lot of what's happening, obviously, is we'll review the plans. Beautiful slideshow, by the way. Love the idea of being able to offer that to the community. Our review is really just on the safety and ADA side of things. We would expect people to follow that, but if for some reason at 10 o'clock at night, someone backed a truck across the sidewalk and made that less than 4 feet, I don't know how that obviously wouldn't be a public works issue. That would fall to code enforcement or perhaps police department. I don't know. But for public works, our concern would be just make sure that the sidewalk remains ADA compliant with the 4 foot.
Did you have, you worked for Kingman, right? Yes.
I did.
So do you remember that? Can you give us a little history about why they expanded all that? I mean, I just realized that he's the history of that, which was, in theory, was a great idea. They had a very wide Main Street. They could narrow it. Okay, go ahead. You tell the story.
Well, yeah, I can tell the story. The Main Street, we had several businesses that had basically built seating areas that had actually encroached on the public right-of-way without permit or permission. And the city had struggled trying to get those businesses back into compliance. We were able to do that during the COVID period. There was obviously a desire to try to make sure that there were public seating and that we could accommodate as much business that the restaurants and bars could handle. So we did parklets with pretty limited success, but that got us to the point where the council approved the downtown revitalization, the Beale Street revitalization. The goal of that, part of that, was to create an entertainment zone so that we could create plenty of walking space past anybody who wanted to do business like what's being described. nobody really took advantage of that as was stated.
So I was correct where those little alcoves was it popped out. They popped out, and then there was parking that if I remember correctly, they had like picnic benches or more seating out there. But I noticed the other day it just had planters. And so you were saying that it didn't take off as well as you'd hoped it to. And you did have encroachment issues into the right of ways?
Originally, yeah. And we had a couple of businesses that had just set up, they had set up counters and put on the outside of their businesses and put seating they were encroaching without permit.
And I was shocked when he said he had 14 feet. Do you think they have 14 feet? Well, you would know. I'm not telling you you're a liar. I'm surprised that they have. There's a lot of spots there that because of the trees that really narrow out.
There's going to be spots that have the 14 feet clearance, and there's going to, like you said, with benches or with trees, and planters, that's going to change from different parts of the city. And that includes, street lights, we have lights and that kind of stuff, lighting.
Okay.
Well,
thanks for coming up and telling me, because I wish I could make it work, but I don't want to be sorry later.
Any other questions from members of council or comments before we open the public hearing?
Mayor?
Yeah, Councilmember Koch.
Sorry. So is this like an application for like a temporary extension of premises? They have to come in and get the application just like you would a temporary extension of premises, and then the building service or development services department is the one that's going to issue this to them, and then that way we know who's planning on taking advantage of it, and then it just goes away after 1 year if we didn't want to continue it.
Yes, Mayor, Councilmember Koch, it's 2 steps. So there would be an application with the city through the Development Services Department, and then 2 would be an application with the state for the extension of premises. So that's kind of where this is coming in. So yes, we do allow an extension or the temporary dining, outdoor dining, but the second part of it comes in and is when they need to extend the premise for the service of alcohol, you also need the city's permission for that. And we have not been willing to grant that more permanent extension of service of alcohol onto city property. If this were something that we're going to go from a pilot into something more permanent, we would definitely want to discuss whether that is for a rented price or what that may be. If it's something that is temporary, it's a special event, that's something that that hasn't come into play. But if we're talking about a permanent use of city property, that's a lease agreement in any other thing that we do for the city.
That's where I was going. So they'd have a set fee for using city property, but only through a permit fee. But it's not the same as if it was going to be more permanent, we would have a lease fee for.
So Mayor, council members, as we have the pilot drafted, we didn't dive deep into charging for that use of city property. So that's another element that, although it's not a part of the pilot program, it's something that you need to think about whether you want to incorporate that. If we go forward with the pilot program, you need to think about that. If that's just something we're going to try this out and just see how it goes, they have to move it in and out every night the way that it's drafted right now, unless council changes that. Since it's temporary, it's transitory, not so worried about the fee. But if it becomes something more permanent, if you allow even the pilot program to be something more permanent, then you might want to consider a fee for the use of that city property.
Councilmember Koch and Ms. Gary, in talking during the agenda setting, Ms. Williams, it's only available for 6 months, right? So they'd have to do it twice. That was another reason why we were talking about a 1-year pilot program and not a smaller time frame, because it wouldn't have allowed enough time for these businesses to do that. Did I understand that correct?
Yes. Through a temporary extension, it would be up to 6 months with the extension of premise through the liquor department.
Yeah, so it would have to be issued twice then if they were going to take advantage of the full 12 months. And that'd be through your office. They would, and the state.
Yeah, they would be filed at the city clerk's office, and we would process it, and then they would go to the state.
Councilmember Koch, did you have any additional comments? Okay, Councilmember Moses.
Yeah, and thank you, JP. If this does end up getting tabled, I want to just give you some concerns. that can maybe be addressed if it comes back, both from the staff and your standpoint. So, like, the liquor department will allow, I know they do extension of premises on a temporary basis. They will allow you to serve alcohol on not your property for forever, essentially?
With an extension of premise, yes. So if they approve that extension of premise, it's not about property ownership at that point. It's about the boundaries of the service area for alcoholic beverages approved by the state.
But as far as my understanding of extension of premises, it's only temporary allowances from what bars are allowed to do. So I would like, if we can get clarity from the liquor department that's okay. Also, insurance companies. I know insurance companies will put the city as additionally insured for temporary use, but for forever. You know what I mean? I'm not completely sure that your insurance company knew exactly what was going on, because to insure the city for forever on that little piece of property is a lot different than just, hey, I'm having a anniversary party. And so just some clarity there. I loved your renderings. This is a really hard one for me because, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for everybody that's in the room, the idea of that walkable, vibrant downtown area, that's what we all want. And I applaud you for bringing some of these, you're a mover, you're a visionary and you're pushing boundaries, and I appreciate that. But I would like, instead of the pretty pictures, a little more schematic of what the sidewalk looks like. Like the 14 feet, I'm like, what? I thought our sidewalks were like 6 feet, pretty standard. It's like, I could be way off, obviously.
All the way up and down.
Like, I'm not an engineer, and when I'm down there, I'm having fun. I'm not, measuring sidewalks. So,
every building is different.
So just a few more schematics of what that would actually look like. For sure. I'm glad that staff chimed in with some of their concerns, because the whole presentation, I'm like, I want to hear what staff thinks about this. And I'm glad that that you guys did have some input on that. I would like to see what's going to happen when the street closures. So Desert Storm, all those big ones. We almost might need to revoke that privilege during those times. You might want to look at that. And then I think it's only fair for there to be a price to a lease. If you're going to be making money on city property from a permanent basis, there needs to be a lease involved, and there needs to be a cost.
I agree.
I own my property that I make money off of. Everybody else does too that owns a business. I think it's only right that there's a cost involved, and I'm sure you guys would be open to that.
Like $1?
It's going to be more than $1. You want to make the city partners?
We already paid tax dollars on it.
Make the city partners give us 2%.
It's revenue driven, so revenue is tax revenue for the city. We
are partners.
2% tax,
right?
Additionally to, as a bar and restaurant, to the city of Lake Havasu as well, on top of our regular.
So if this does come back, if we can have some of those answers and different ideas, keep visioning, keep pushing. But those are the questions that came up for me.
Councilmember Dolan, did you have any comments before we open the public hearing?
Yeah, I am a little concerned about it. I like the idea of it, but if that's what staff has already gone through and that's what they wanted and that's what it's gone through that process, I get a little nervous about us, just making changes on it, which it sounds like we're not. But I just want us to be realistic in some of those wants and needs and, make sure it's legal and everybody's protected. But I love the idea behind it. It sounds like maybe we might need to table it and bring it back another day. But I'm kind of okay with it, with how it would be now, based on that's what staff did. But if that's not what they want and that's kind of defeats the purpose, then it sounds like maybe we should definitely table it and reinvestigate it.
Thank you. And then just before we open the public hearing, some of my thoughts on this is I can support a pilot program. I think from a pilot program, we'll be able to learn a lot of what it is we're talking about. Is the bicyclists moving down at rapid space? Is there enough room for people to get through at the 4 feet? Or is there overhang from vehicles? Is there bad operators that are expanding past that and not opening that area? The way this resolution is written today, I would support it the way that the staff is recommending it, because they went through the whole process, run our pilot program on that, and then based on the outcomes of the pilot program in a year, say, hey, really, it's much easier to go till close, or it's whatever it may be. We can then consider discussions about some sort of a cost involved after the year program. We understand kind of all the ins and outs of what this is going to be, but there's already guardrails in the resolution as it's written now to revoke any bad actors or not issue a permit if there's not the proper ingress or egress or those different spaces. Again, this is led by the business community down in that area, so I can support the framework of that. But if council wants to send it back for additional discussion to make it work, but they've gone through that process already. Yeah, Vice Mayor Diaz.
I guess it would be up to Mr. Thornton if he's good with the 48 inches and with the taking down at the 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock time frame. It's really up to him. Sure. And if not, then we have to table it and have
is that my only thing? Well, the 48 inches is if we have to use temporary. They make them 36. So that's how they come. So that's kind of, we could say yes, and all of a sudden we're like, well, now what? We could do wrought iron and go 48 and with rollers and all that, which is fine. That's not a problem for a lot of people, but then we're just limiting other people that maybe won't be able to spend that kind of money to do that kind of iron to start, because they may want to test it themselves and see if it's going to work for their business. So, and then the hours, it's just hard because it probably should have been written a little bit different. Weekends, we're open later during the week, but then if it's a holiday weekend, if it's a Labor Day Monday or a Memorial Monday or something like that, is that going to be, are we just restricted, Yeah,
so as it's written, the holidays and weekends are the same. It'd be 11 p.m. There's still a special event process that if you wanted to file a special event permit, which I know you've done in the past for your operation, that's still an opportunity to go through that process.
Okay.
Ms. Gary, do you know, Ms. Gary, where the 48 inches came from? Why is it 48 inches and 36? And if you don't, that's fine.
That was what was recommended by staff through the process.
Gotcha. All right, so we'll go. I'm sorry, Councilmember Koch, did you?
I just was going to tag on to what you were saying about having the actual permit and the ability to revoke it at any point. But that would also mean that Councilmember Moses's questions regarding the liquor license and the insurance, if they didn't have the ability to have those because for whatever reason they weren't able to, then that would also revoke. And so we have the parameters and the barriers, safety barriers in place for that. Just if they can't get the permits or the insurance, we can't do it.
We had Department of Liquor off on ours when we did it. There's going to be an issue with that. It was temporary extension.
Yeah, but Williams can probably explain the extension premise. So the 6 months, and maybe to Councilmember Moses' earlier question, how that process works.
So there's two types of extensions of premise. There's the temporary extension, which allows up to 6 months for that applicant to indicate what dates and times they're going to have that extended premise. It's more for the short, limited time frame. And then you have where they're wanting to extend that footprint permanently, and that permanent extension is reviewed and then both are sent to the state for approvals. It's just that one is for a limited time and the other one's a permanent extension of their existing license.
Does it distinguish whether or not you own the property or not?
No, not through the state's application process. Yeah, that's just reviewed through the city.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Councilmember Campbell?
Mayor, I have the same concerns that Councilmember Moses has because When you do temporary, that's totally different. But when you do a permanent, they want certain permanent fencing, and they want, they want to know who else owns the property. Because I know with my liquor license, I had to keep it within my building. I couldn't even extend it to the next neighbor if, we couldn't encroach on anybody else's property. It had to stay within the property level. But again, it's been 12, 13 years since I owned a bar. I really don't know, but if you're saying that you've got your liquor of signing off on it, I still have a lot of concerns. I kind of want to see, I want to see an overall, like, which restaurants and bars want to do this. I want to see dimensions and, site plans like Councilmember Moses is saying. I really want to see where those tight parts are. Not that I don't trust the staff, and I should, but I don't want to be in a situation later that we allow all this and then we have a whole year, like you say, anytime we can stop. But you can't do that because you're going to spend a lot of money. And I'm seeing here, you have exposed plastic barricades, no, or advertise heavy designs. Acceptable temporary barriers include planters, decorative metal panels, wood finishes, and improved modular systems. I'm still trying to wonder how you get outside and then push them all inside at a certain time. So if it is at 11 or 10 o'clock, I don't think I have enough information at this time to say yes on this. As much as, I agree with what the mayor is saying. He feels confident that it's okay to move forward on a pilot program. I don't think I'm confident at this time.
I think we would have a standard of what it needs to be. So we have a consistent look, just like we've had to do with our other buildings and new construction, and we have to follow a certain standard. So we can't just have anybody put whatever's cheap up there just to, again, everything has to get approved, and it's per business basis.
If I was passing this, I would probably want it on a permanent basis that you guys could put in the iron, the railings, and all the things right
I'm
here
ready.
now to give us.
I'm good. If we can do that, I'm good with that for sure.
Design committee and everything works, but I still have a lot. I've been on that street a long time, and I remember what it looked like when maneuvering around it. And I still want to see.
If we could actually, if we could start it with that, that's fine. But we just kind of decided it would be safer to try it, just do a test run first, which isn't as good for us, everybody on Main Street. But if we're thinking long term, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here for a while. So let's do what's best for what.
All right.
So I think the pilot would make the most sense from the city's perspective as well. So
thank you so much, though.
All right, we're going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item? If so, just make your way to the podium, state your name for the record.
Hi, I'm Pam Swenson. I think this should be tabled as it is written because there's too much conflict between what the proposer is asking for and what is actually written. And for example, in item 1B, there says nothing about keeping the sidewalks open, even though he's stated that it would be. There's nothing written in this resolution anywhere that says anything about keeping sidewalks open, and it needs to be written in here. I went out there and
I had that same concern.
And I went
this discussion. If you go up to the very first under recitals, it talks about code section 14.0303. That's where that is. So
yeah, but it still needs to be identified, I think.
It is identified in the code section.
I actually did go measure today. And between the building and where the planter area starts is 9 feet. And if they need to have a 4-foot clearance, that only allows 5 feet between the building and where they would have to have a separation. Between the building and the curb, or the end of the sidewalk, it is 13.6 feet, not 14. You cannot count the curb width when you are discussing ADA clearance. So that is a concern because there is a groove between the curb and the sidewalk. So it is 13.6 feet. And I did go there and measure today. And I have pictures of my tape measure in case anybody wants to see them. I think that the renderings were beautiful. They're not to scale. They do not show what our sidewalks would look like with this on there. And don't believe that any temporary pilot program should allow for any permanent barriers on the sidewalk. I think it should be mandated that they be removed at night. And I don't think that it should be at close of business. I think it should be the hours that they had on here, because the different businesses operate at different times. So to be consistent in the downtown area, I think it should be based on specific hours and not business hours. Additionally, I want to know who is going to be the policeman on this. It's a pilot program. Who is going to police if things are done the way that they're stipulated that they're done? Who is going to be responsible for all of that aspect of it? Because I know when we have the pilot program for the 2-hour parking downtown, the police department is not policing that either. So who's going to be policing this to make sure that all of these guidelines are being followed? So those are some of the concerns that I have. And there's a lot others. And I think a lot of things were covered tonight, but these were things that did not come up that I am concerned about. Oh, there's one more thing. In the letter that Mr. Thornton presented to the city, it said that this was voted upon by the Downtown Association Board of Directors and approved unanimously on the March 9th meeting. I went on their website today. I could find no copies of their meeting minutes. I have no idea how this was presented, who voted on it, or anything like that. It's a nonprofit, and a nonprofit is supposed to have all of their documentation available to the public, and it's not. So that's another concern that I have. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Hello. Janine Thornton. I actually just wanted to clarify the insurance questions because I handle the insurance and supplying it for a business. So with the insurance, that will not be an obstacle other than if businesses don't want to pay it, because there will likely be an increased premium for them because now they're going to have to accommodate more square footage plus higher occupancy of people. So that's where it would change. But the coverage extending for a year and protecting as well the city is not a problem. I did it. I tried it out, and we actually sent it to a couple of you, just indicating that we could add the additional insured for a year span at a time, because that's typically when you're renewing your insurance policies anyway. So I did want to make sure that you knew that that is possible. And I would say with the application that applicant needs to provide the certificate of insurance showing that the city would be the additional insured. And on the application, it can also specify what the city wants as far as insurance limits, $1 million for this, whatever it's going to be. And then to me, the city should be more secure with that because now they're going to be double insured. Not only are they going to have, which the reality is you can walk out of any store on McCulloch anywhere and trip and fall and people are lawsuit happy. They're going to sue you. Well, now if they trip and fall right outside that bar or restaurant door or what have you, and they sue, they're actually going to be suing that bar and restaurant. So you've got two people that are going to be able to cover that person that might be lawsuit happy or what have you. So that was kind of one thing I wanted to address because that was a question. That's it.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Taylor Harrison. I got a lot to unpack here in 5 minutes. But first, let me get started with what downtown Lake Havasu is, right? I think there seems to be some misinformation or maybe not an understanding of who it is or even what this is about. This is not a project for Golf and Brews. Like, yes, they're doing some things. This is a project brought to you by the Downtown Havasu Association, which is a collection of business owners and individuals in the downtown area. So the voice is a collective, right? This isn't just one person, two people. The goal of this downtown association is to be voices of really the stakeholders of the downtown area to help assist the city in how we structure downtown, but to help the business owners and people enjoy downtown more. So this is something that actually Mr. Kozlowski, he attends all of our meetings, and we appreciate that. This isn't just a knee-jerk thing. This is something we've been working on for quite some time. And Vice Mayor Diaz has attended some of our meetings, as has Councilmember Moses, and we appreciate you gentlemen coming. Ms. Swenson, you mentioned that the note should be shared. I'll give you a copy of the meeting minutes. No problem. I'm also a business owner downtown. I'm not a bar or a restaurant, and I would support this. I don't have any skin in the game. It's not going to benefit my business to have bars and restaurants have an extension of premise, but I would support it. And I think that would be your biggest naysayers, is people that don't directly benefit. But I think more economic vitality downtown, giving our downtown that feel that we love in Havasu. Like if we did walk down by the channel, Dallas has got it down there at the Chair, Burgers by the Bridge, that outdoor seating, that kind of vibe. I think that would be really cool to have downtown. Let's see here. It was referenced earlier, asking about people who did it the right way, so to speak. So Pete with Jerseys is one of them. He was referenced earlier. Pete is actually on our downtown board, and he supports this project. Brady was referenced earlier. I'm sure you'll hear from Dallas at some point, and he owns a business downtown too. He'll be able to tell you his take on it. Paying for it. Maybe a lease agreement could be drawn up if the council doesn't think taxpayer dollars or generated revenue from additional sales tax is enough. Certainly that could be drawn up. I tend to think paying for taxes as a business owner and supplying more taxes is probably good. But hey, if that's not enough, certainly those business owners, like I said, I'm not one that owns a restaurant or bar downtown, so it's not going to be me. I'm sure they would agree. As far as liability, hey, that's what insurance is for. Additionally insured, that covers it. There really shouldn't be concerns there. Events, I'm very apt for events. I do a lot of events, help with a lot of events. There's always additional insured. All the events hosted at Windsor, additional insurance. That's what insurance is for. Vice Mayor Diaz, you brought up a great thing about cleaning, pressure washing. I think that should absolutely be done. And I think that's in the best interest of the business too. Like, who wants to go to a restaurant with concrete floors all full of grease? I would say nobody. So it's in the best interest of the city and the business owner. I referenced that this isn't just Golf and Brews, and there was a question reference, hey, I want to know the bars and restaurants downtown that want this. This isn't just for, like, it is for just for the bars and restaurants to start, but it's not for a select few. This is for a collective. The barriers, I know 48 inches was recommended by somewhere in the city. If we think about how high 48 inches is, I think that's actually kind of dumb, for lack of a better word. I think it should be 36, because a kid could walk right underneath 48 inches, no problem. And then he's in a bar establishment. So I think, to everyone's point, I think it should probably be the 36 inches. That just makes sense. There's a lot of events downtown. Desert Storm is one. It was referenced. There's also First Friday, where people set up their booths on the sidewalk. They're generating income. They're small businesses, but they're doing that. That already exists. Councilmember Campbell, you brought up a good point. I didn't know that vehicles extend 2 feet over the curb. It's true, they do. But you referenced backing in could be a thing. You can't back into those diagonal spots because you'd be going reverse direction down McCulloch. So that's actually good. But the 2 feet is duly noted that ADA compliance would have to be maintained. And in your packet, that was a big provision. Trees, there are some trees there. Obviously, that would impede on the ADA compliance. And our downtown Havasu is also a big proponent of helping guide the city in the direction of maintaining those trees. And again, this is a case-by-case basis. So granting this pilot program is a one-year thing, but it doesn't mean that you're married to it or going to be sorry later. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. As a person who is handicapped and who does enjoy walking on McCulloch Boulevard during First Fridays and enjoys actually just walking, period. Walking is a gift and everybody should enjoy it, just in case you don't. On First Fridays, it's really crowded. There's hundreds of people, thousands of people going there. And when I go, I usually try to take my walker with me just so I have space to sit and someplace to sit because of how crowded it can be. And falling down is not fun. Breaking your toes is not fun. And when Council Member Campbell mentioned about the overhang of the car, I back in everywhere I go. If it's possible, if I was able to park backwards in those spots, I would. I understand that they are diagonal, and so unless, I was able to in the middle of the day to do that, I probably would. But since I can't, I don't. But I have seen other people do that, which is really weird. Because, when the car shows on Thursday nights, I've seen the cars back in quite often over there. So it's not just First Fridays you have, but you also have London Bridge Days Parade. You have, as someone else mentioned, Desert Storm, Winterfest, a whole bunch of events that happen on McCulloch Boulevard all the time. So there's cars that are blocking that 24 inches into the sidewalk, and which will create a hindrance for anything, whatever that 4 foot is. Sorry, it is a concern, and I really appreciate Councilmember Campbell bringing that up, because I believe that as a city, we do need to be extremely ADA compliant, and actually should go above ADA compliancy, because the ADA compliance is just the minimum. We can do a lot more than the minimum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm new to Main Street, brand new. I've been here a long time, been in the business a long time, and definitely a different animal up there. And I love it. I embrace it. I think it's a unique opportunity. I travel a lot down to California, Huntington Beach. I see street closures for these fairs, and it happens every week. And the restaurants and the street is closed, but just absolutely packed. Everybody looks forward to it, kind of like a First Friday feel. And what I did notice is, and what I ran into building my business down there is, I like to think out of the box as far as decor and making things look nice. And I hit a lot of brick walls where, nope, you can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. And so I went down Main Street just looking at other businesses and how the upkeep was really dilapidated and not looking good for our city. And here I'm trying to do something nice for my building. And then I got to thinking, wouldn't it be great? And when JP and Taylor made great points, and I support all of those things. Councilwoman Campbell, you brought up Kingman. This is not Kingman. It's still a little bit different, but all these roadblocks I was trying to make things look nice. And I think this is a good opportunity that we can do a pilot program and maybe make all of these businesses look cohesive, like a standard 36-inch high railing that all looks the same all the way down. Not just this one is hot pink, this one's blue, and this one, that's not what we're looking for. So I think we table this until we can get it written right, and present a plan that, like Councilwoman Campbell said, that she wants to see the sidewalks and all of the ADA compliant issues addressed, liquor addressed, and then we come back with a cohesive plan and a look that it's supposed to be. And before if we were going to vote, I think we're a little premature on that. But I would like to see Main Street look beautiful, Huntington Beach, fun, safe, and create that environment for Lake Havasu. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the City Council on this item? Yay. All right. Go ahead and close the public hearing. Bring it back to council for any discussion, possible motion, or any direction to the city staff.
Mayor?
Yeah, Vice Mayor Diaz.
So I would like to make a motion to table this. I think there's been good information on both sides, but I think we have a few more T's to cross and I's to dot, and then we could come back with a clean, clear resolution that both parties are good with, and not just jump into it and then we're wondering, oh, we should have done this or we should have done that. So I'm going to make a motion to table this for future discussion.
Second.
And action.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Diaz, a second from Councilmember Campbell. Mr. Kozlowski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just really quickly, as far as the pilot program goes, I'd love to get some thoughts from you all as far as what you would like to see. With this pilot program, there's a lot of unknowns that we just don't know as far as do we want this to go till close? I don't know if we do, based off of some of the conversations I've heard today. I don't know if are we okay with the stanchions being lowered to 38 or 36? Great, but just if we can have some of those conversations here so I know exactly what I'm bringing back. Thank you.
I think, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. I think that's one of the things, the reducing it from 48 to 36, if that could be agreed upon, and we could get the reasonings why we did the 48 and then why it's better to do 36 inches. And is it better to do it to close or to do it to keep it the way it is? But let's get all those things talked about and then come back with a clean resolution that everyone can agree upon.
And Mayor, I liked what he said. I don't want everybody have all different temporary fencing. I would like a more uniformed look. If you're going to do it, this is what you're going to do. If you're not going to do it, I mean, you can't do it. I don't want wood over here and a planter over there. And I think that we stick to some sort of design review that I agree. Dallas is probably one of the most creative people I've known. I've known him forever. And yeah, I'm very interested to see what you guys could bring to the table. And JP, I know you are too. So I want to be sure that we have all the ADA, the 24-inch hangovers. I want to see all that before I'll ever approve a pilot program. Thank you.
So what we need right now is to tell, like, to your point, Vice Mayor Diaz, is like, so the 36 inches, I would support that too, going from 48 to 36. Yeah, I mean, 4
Is that a legal height for?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would, so the 36, I could support that. I would, for the pilot program, I think the hours that we have proposed here is ideal. If we learn through the pilot program, we need to I know it's not what they want, but it's what, I mean, they're on public property, and that's what's through staff review and some of our discussion. Otherwise, the alternative is until 2 a.m. But we need to have that discussion now so that we can give the feedback to Mr. Kozlowski to bring it back.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can we hear from Kelly for a second? She's a little worried.
I'm not worried, Mayor and Council. We need some direction. I mean, I can't even collectively at this point. I don't understand if everybody's in favor of doing the pilot, not doing the pilot. Temporary is okay. You want permanent, surrounds. We do have to talk about the timing. And so again, this is what staff, we took the information, we've all debated it among one another. And so, not everybody on staff is necessarily supportive of this program. And I'm trying to say this as politically correct as I can. But not everybody on staff is supportive of this program. And so with that in mind, we're bringing to you a concept, trying to figure out, is this something that you as council want to do and move forward? And if you tell staff this is what you want to do and move forward, we're absolutely going to do that. But we're only bringing this forward because we're testing the waters a bit, not because staff is not recommending, not all of staff. And I'll speak just for my own self. Not everyone is recommending that you adopt this pilot program. But if it is something that council wants to do, we will absolutely do that. but we need the absolute direction from you. We do not want staff to go back and negotiate with the association. We want the city council to tell us what parameters are you willing to negotiate and within what. And if we need to go into executive session to discuss that and get that, and then we go back and negotiate, that's fine as well. But staff has put together what we feel protects safety, protects navigability, retains some of the components that we think are important. And then from there, we need a little bit more direction from council.
Well, Mayor, may I ask a follow-up question? So then couldn't we do that? I mean, because some of my answers might change depending on the information that I hear. Is 48 or 36, is that an issue? So can't we just vote to table this now, hear from the staff? We'll have, I have meetings with city manager once a week, and he can take me down those 10 different items that you listed. Once we hear the answers to these questions, and then staff can then in good faith negotiate once they've collected input from the whole council to be able to negotiate with the users, with the people who are proposing it, and then bring that back at a second meeting.
He can't do that with each of you individually.
Staff can.
No, staff cannot. And so,
I motion to go to executive session so we can give you some of our biggest concerns right now.
Well, we have a motion and a second on the table right now to table this item. Do we want to withdraw that? And
well, if we table it, we can't. According to Mrs. Gary just said, they've already discussed it. They don't want to negotiate with the Downtown Association. Staff does not want to.
Right. So if we go into executive session, we can give the feedback.
Yeah. So I'm going to table my motion.
Okay. Are you withdrawing your second, Councilmember Campbell, at this point?
Yes.
And are you making?
Now I'm motioning to go into executive session to give you direct direction so that you guys can move forward and not have to spend any more time on this. Okay. From pilot. Okay, there you go.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. We're going to adjourn to executive session. For those of you in the audience, we will break for just a few minutes to get legal consultation from our attorney, and then we will return to this meeting and resume our regular meeting. All right, welcome back. We'll resume our regular meeting. Are there any questions, comments from members of the council for any of the staff?
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Councilmember Lynn.
I just want to explain my vote before we make a
Let's
motion.
make a motion first, and then we can explain anything based on what motion might come before us. Yeah, if there's no comments, then, and Councilmember Dolan, you're back with us as well?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. Okay. All right, then we'll entertain a motion.
Motion, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, Vice Mayor.
I move to adopt resolution number 26-3938, establishing the Downtown Association Pilot Public Sidewalk Dining and Beverage Service Program effective September 1st, 2026 through August 31st, 2027, and direct city staff to develop and design a standard with the Downtown Association for the temporary barriers.
Second.
We have a motion from Vice Mayor Diaz. We have a second from Councilmember Campbell. Any additional discussion?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Lynn?
I'm going to vote no on this because I don't believe this is accomplishing what's being brought forward from the downtown district with the way that it's written right now with the times and some of the other things in here, because what is being presented is what they need to stick with. And I'm concerned that that's not what they're asking. So my vote is going to be a no on this.
All right. Is there any additional discussion or comments?
Mayor, the two things that change my mind is one, I want things to look synchronized. You guys need to go and figure out what you think is going to look good for the rest. And it can't be wood here and a barricade there and a rope there. So that's why I changed. And the other portion is I was all for the end of till closing, but I do think this is a dining experience. It shouldn't be a nightclub experience. And you guys are going to have to figure that out because we've heard enough direction that they have some concerns at 1 or 2 in the morning. What can be going on our city streets is more than we already want. So that was why I move forward with this decision. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Diaz.
I had one last thing that we were going to ask whoever gets approved for this program to help with the enforcement of when the items have to be put back inside at the closing times, and so not the closing times, but the 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock time period. Work with our staff to make sure you guys are delivering that message, not put it all on them.
With no additional comments, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-1.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Item 7.3, as I mentioned earlier, the electric charging station site license agreement with Level 3 Havasu LLC will come back before us at a future date. So we'll move on to item 7.4, which is construction manager at-risk construction services contract and guaranteed maximum price for the construction phase of the second bridge and roadway improvement project. Mr. Hart.
Honorable Mayor and City Council, it's an honor to come before you tonight and talk to you about a project I'm excited with, which is another capital improvement project on our capital improvement program. So I'm here tonight specifically to talk to you about our CMAR services contract and GMP for construction phase of the second bridge and roadway improvement project. I thought we'd start with just an overview of the construction limits on this project. As you can see here, you can see the channel as it meanders through. You can see the outline of where the bridge and roadway are going, and then to the far right you see Palo Verde Boulevard, where we have a little bit of work to do with some turn radiuses there, turn stops. So, but I wanted to jump in closer and show you the project that's probably the main focus of the whole project, and that is the actual intersections with the London Bridge Road and through the area there along the state parks, and then crossing the channel, then the area through the Arizona state lands and where it intersects with McCulloch. And then what we'll do is we'll jump in a little bit closer. So this is on the island side where we intersect with McCulloch Boulevard, and I apologize that it's not quite lining up with aerial photography, but I tried to work with the best I could. But as you can see here, it intersects in a T intersection with a stop. We'll have a right-hand turn bay and to head obviously towards the right, and then we'll have the left-hand turn bay if you go back towards London Bridge. As we make our way back towards mainland, you can see this is an area of the right-of-way that the City Council has already approved through the state lands, and then we come to the second bridge itself, and then we move on, coming off the bridge there by the lift station, and we travel over to the London Bridge Road, where we have this four-way stop intersection and some additional work we had to do to tie in that alleyway there and then into the parking lot. So I'm going to zoom in too so you can see a little bit better in terms of the different configurations of turn bays and turning radiuses. We also obviously have our handicap access ramps on all the intersections, and then we have our crosswalks. And I didn't show where we go into the state parks, but I wanted to focus in mainly on this intersection with that. So that's kind of a refresher. I wanted to just remind you that with a need identified for the second bridge and roadway improvement project, an RFQ was initiated, and we selected NV5. The City Council approved the selection of NV5 back in October of 2024. Then at the 20% design phase, the city went out and we interviewed and selected Ames Construction, who has representatives here tonight. It's been great to work with them. We're glad to have them here tonight with us. They were selected as the CMAR back in February of 25. So you can start putting some dates to this. And now we have worked through the 30%, which we brought to City Council, the 60%, which we brought to City Council, recently had our 95% submittal, and we are been starting the process of negotiations with our CMAR, which is a construction manager at risk for the guaranteed maximum price. And so we have had a lot of teamwork, as you're aware. A lot of things have been happening, including at one of the city council retreats. You folks picked out some of the colors, some of the texture, some of the pier design and things like that. It was real proactive, which is very much appreciated. The project itself is going to have, and I just kind of did some quick generic big item viewpoints here. We're going to have site grading. Obviously, we have areas of new roadway that goes through barren land that we're going to have a lot of site grading on. So that'll help trigger the road construction aspect of it. Then we'll have the bridge itself, which will cross the channel with no pier in the water. And then we'll have some utility constructions going on as well. As you're aware, we have 3 utility lines that will be crossing the bridge and tying in at key locations, which provide us with redundancy, which is so important. And then we'll get into project closeout. The construction estimation is 18 months. So should City Council approve the guaranteed maximum price, then we would look to secure the contract as quick as possible, with the goal of starting construction here in mid-October and ending in April of 28 with everything complete. So the CMAR's negotiated guaranteed maximum price is $39,921,502.30. And as you can see in the attachment that was on the City Council communication, you can see that breakout. And I would respectfully recommend City Council approve the construction manager at risk contract, guaranteed maximum price to Ames Construction Incorporated in the amount of $39,921,502.30. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. And thank you for the work of all of the team that's been involved, our city staff, our contractors, and partners that are helping to build this. Also, a big thank you to Arizona State Trust Lands and Arizona State Parks for their work in working with us. And of course, to our funding partners, they're Arizona State Legislative Appropriation. So we appreciate Representative Biasucci, Supervisor Borelli, and Representative Cobb and Representative Gillette for their work on getting us the money that is going to be paying for this. So a big thank you to all of those to make this project come to fruition is a really big deal. And once we had the funding identified, we've actually been moving at a record pace. It doesn't always feel like that, but it truly is, especially when you outline, Mr. Hart, the time frame. So excited to be able to break ground this October. Are there questions from members of council? Yeah, Councilmember Lynn?
Can you go back to about 5 slides that has all the stop signs right there? So this is super confusing to me. So I'm on all yes for all this, of course, but is there any way that you can draw this up or something a little bit better and maybe send it to me? Because I have no idea what this looks like down there, or maybe take me a drive down there, because this is just a lot.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out how boats and trucks you're going to be like stopping halfway in the intersection. So could you maybe?
Yeah, we could do that. And this obviously is zoomed in and concentrated on the intersection. Yeah. So you can't really see how it flows into it and all that. And that's understandable.
Maybe you just give me a better map so that when people are asking me, I can explain what this all looks like. Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Campbell?
Lynn, I hope you'll understand this. When I looked at this, I reached over and I said, I love this. You're going to go, why? I don't want a roundabout. I don't want to figure out what our traffic volume is later. I want these stop signs in place. I want to see how people are going to drive. Are they going to still drive through our mayor's parking lot to get to the island? Are they going to go through Mesquite? And, which way are they going to get there? And I'm a firm believer, why spend a bunch of money assuming something's going to happen when we might as well do this? And then you'll go, but why would we do this? And I said, because when we get development on the island, when we get big players that want to spend some money, and then this becomes an issue because we have a real traffic data, then they can fix it. So that was my direction early on getting rid of the roundabouts. And I saw your face, Councilmember Moses, and what I mean by maybe then we might need a stoplight. Maybe we won't. So at that point, that would be the responsibility of somebody else with proper traffic data. So that was my direction. But but I can understand that does look confusing to most people. But thank you for asking the question, Ms. Michelle.
Yeah, Vice Mayor Diaz.
Mr. Mayor?
We'll go to Vice Mayor Diaz, and then we'll go to you, Councilmember Dolan.
I don't know if I missed it. Was there a picture in this slide presentation of the actual, what the bridge is going to look like? Did I miss that?
The very first picture shows kind of the initial rendering at the 60% phase. We have added a third span, so it doesn't show that. And I apologize for not having a.
Can we get a picture? Because I don't want to happen what happened to the downtown commons where they said, "Oh, that's not what we looked at," and now it's. I like to get an actual picture of what the bridge is going to look like. What they're going to be building.
Yeah,
would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, so we Ames and us, we discussed that today, the importance of getting that.
Yeah, Councilmember Dolan.
Yeah, I just want to give my 2 cents. I think Councilmember Campbell said it, correctly, that when we get development on the island, and that's exactly what this is going to do, it's going to expedite development on the island. I'm against the island development bridge, and I really wish we would send this as a referendum to the voters, because unless you live on the island, I don't think a lot of people like this, and I know it was free money, but I say it at every meeting. I just want to say it again, just my 2 cents. I'm against the island development bridge.
Thank you, Councilmember Dolan. Yeah, Councilmember Moses.
So did I hear you right? You said there's a third pillar, or what'd you say, stanchion?
There's a third span.
Span.
Yes.
So is there going to be a column down the middle of the?
No.
No.
So if we look at this picture here, and let's see if I can get a little closer. As you can see, the bridge is there'll be what we call a pier just off of the edge of the channel here, up above the 450 high water mark. Am I doing it wrong?
Yeah, we can't see if you're moving anything on your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, there. Yeah, okay.
Okay. So here would be abutment number 1, and we'd have a span out to pier number 1. Which is on dry land and above the 450 mark. Then it'd be spanned all the way across to a second pier, which is over here on the other side, above the high water mark. And then we would have a span and then the abutment. So you'd have an abutment with a span to a pier, with a span to a pier, with a span to an abutment.
Got it.
And the reason why we did that was to save cost with having to put a retaining wall on the island side. If you can see, as most of you are aware, if you travel down the channel, that slope from right here up to the top here is quite steep and would take a tremendous amount of fill material, which would cause a very large retaining wall, which drove the cost quite high, so that it actually was cost savings in adding a third span, excuse me.
And I'll be honest, when Nancy saw my face when I saw the stop signs, when I knew we were getting rid of the roundabout idea, I just assumed, and this is on me, I just assumed that was going to be a stoplight, that the stoplight was then going to be added into that. I think this is going to be a very, very busy intersection. It's cumbersome to get onto the London Bridge. You got to go through Cal's parking lot all the time, and it's not fun. The London Bridge Resort's parking lot. But I just think this is going to be very busy. I think it's short-sighted, but I mean, we'll prove it soon enough, and then that'll be on the next CIP budget, I guess. Yep, I think that's it. Thank you.
All right, Vice Mayor Diaz.
Ms. Hart, can you go to the slide that had the total price? 30 cents is important, I know. So just to clarify for the audience and the people watching at home, so we got $35.5 million from the state legislature, and maybe Mr. City Manager can answer. The rest is interest that was incurred on that money, and anything else. Just want to make sure they know there's no tax dollars that are being spent on this that we're asking them to spend.
Yeah, so this is totally funded through the $35.5 million in addition to the interest that's been collected. And Mr. Foggin worked with Ms. Olson to make sure that we have an understanding of what the interest will be. as we pay down. And in addition to that, we've identified the $1 million that was in the development agreement that was approved for the waterfront project on the island. Okay. So that's the fund for that project. The conversation about the stoplight, can't afford it. As of right now, if we want to work within the budget that includes the legislative appropriation, the interest collected on legislative appropriation, and the $1 million that was collected through the development agreement.
Well, then I guess this is just a stop sign pilot program.
If I could add, I just want to make sure that it's understood that there is a CIP water component to this, and there is a CIP wastewater of 3.5 and then 3 million. And then we do have a drainage component to this of 750,000 for some stormwater that we're addressing there by the lift station and bridge. So just clarify that too.
Mr. Hart, is that included in this contract?
Yes, sir.
In the 39.9?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
I have one more, but
Yeah, go ahead. We can open the public hearing.
No, can you go back to the one where we see the state park? I've already said something to staff, but since we got Ames here and some of the boys, this is going to be a very, very busy parking lot for some very, very important events that support our charities and our local economy and all that good stuff. We've done a good job of protecting that event space, but inevitably you guys are going to have staging areas for equipment and materials and all that stuff. We need to get like a meeting together with the users. I've already told the Balloon Fest, but we need to have the same conversation with everybody else too. Things are going to be different, like to expect different, and how do we plan and how do we overcome these, work together and overcome them, because these little alleyways, they're used for VIP entrances and all of that good stuff. There's a lot of usage that goes on, even though we protected the event space. They do a lot of other things over there too. And so I just want to make sure that we're meeting with the users and making sure we're working together. So,
yes, we are. Thank you.
Councilmember Campbell?
I just have a simple question on page 4. I think it's simple, but I don't understand it, so it must be difficult. That was a joke. All right, on page 1 of 4, where it says GMP summary, it says indirect costs, D, general condition negotiated amount was $3,128,000. And then when you go to the next page, I see, the Seymour construction fee negotiated fixed fee, $3,145,000. I think I know what that is, but can you explain what those two items are?
I would have Scott Jones with Ames Construction come up, and he'll do a better job than what I can.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Mayor and members of the council and city staff, I'm Scott Jones with Ames Construction. I can answer that question. In simple term, indirect costs are things that aren't directly associated with building the abutment. Like if you build an abutment, you have the cost of rebar, you have the cost of concrete, you have the labor to put the forms up, you have the non-permanent materials like forms and everything. Indirect costs are stuff like our job trailers. It's housing for the labor and everybody that come into town. It's stuff that is required, but it doesn't actually become a physical thing.
Okay, so
the fee is on top of that. So the fee structure would be our company overhead plus our profit on our self and our subcontractor work.
And the design, because I thought maybe that might be design costs when it said indirect costs. But so the design cost is all in this too, that the original that
we don't have design cost in our cost.
They had a pre-construction services contract which was part of the design working with NV5.
Right.
And that's been taken care of now and done.
So that's above and beyond this, right?
Correct.
And wow. Okay. Now that's different. All right. Okay. Thank you.
All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item?
Hi, I'm Pam Swenson. I have a couple of questions. Previously, at one of the other meetings, I did ask about ADOT needing to approve the plans because of the partial build on state land. And I was told that you were following ADOT specifications, which I would hope you would be. But having ADOT approve the design is completely separate. And I looked it up, and it does say that because it is on state land that ADOT does have to approve the design, and they do have to be involved in construction inspection along the way. So I wanted to clarify that, whether or not that is going to happen, and if I am incorrect in my assumption, because I did look it up today, and that's what the answer I got was that ADOT did have to approve the design of anything constructed, a roadway constructed on its land, which state parks is state land. So I wanted to just get that clarification. That's one thing. I have other questions, but you can answer that one first.
Yeah, that's a requirement that we are not aware of. And as we looked into this and researched it, the key factor is it's not a state highway. So we are building it.
It didn't say a state highway. It said a state roadway built on state land, and it is a roadway and not a state highway.
A city roadway, yes.
It's a roadway built on state land.
Understand.
Yeah, there's some complexities to the land that the state park is on. It's not necessarily state land. There's underlying BLM land there as well. So it's a pretty complicated, but with all of the experts in the room, I see people, shaking their head that they've looked at that, and point well taken, and we'll make sure that we're in compliance.
Okay. That's one question. And then I have another question for you, Mr. Hart. Are you going to be the project manager on this for the city?
Yes, I am. I'm the project manager, yes.
And may I ask how many bridge design projects you have worked on? This is a major infrastructure project, and a project manager on a major infrastructure project is supposed to have significant experience. And I know you're a PE, and I understand that, but I'm just questioning that. And I'm not trying to disparage you in any way, shape, or form. I just want to know, as a resident, if you have the knowledge to be able to be the project manager for the city on this.
Mayor, and then Ms. Swenson, if I can answer that. Jason, Mr. Hart is very much qualified as a project manager to oversee our capital improvement plan, not just for bridges, but projects across the board. In the audience behind you, you have individuals that have designed and built many bridges across this state and across this country, and with high regard and a high sense of professionalism. So Mr. Hart's job is not to design the bridge.
I know that.
Construct the bridge. But that's why we hired the experts, and he manages the experts. So in terms of what that looks like, I just want to make sure that we understand that he's in charge of the entire capital improvement program. So for that's parks, roads, utilities, across the board. And then we hire the professionals with the specialization to accomplish the task that we need to accomplish.
Okay, I understand that. And I understand he's not the design. I completely am aware of that. But he's going to be overseeing the construction of it. And I just wanted to be sure that
Yes, so I've been involved in over a dozen bridge projects.
Okay, that's fine.
Won 2 national awards, so
okay.
I feel very comfortable.
Okay, that's fine. I just was asking because I couldn't find any information. And then the other question I had was regard to public works staff and construction inspection along the way. And I was wondering who in the city was going to be overseeing the construction inspection.
So we have a capital programs inspector that's involved in a lot of the standard inspections in the contract or specialty inspections that the contractor will be bringing on for the specialty items. So there we go.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the council on this item?
Good evening, Bonnie Toy. Sorry about not saying it before. Mayor, City Council, I did have a question about what is taxpayer money and what is not taxpayer money.
Yeah, if all of our revenues come from either ratepayers or taxes that are paid. So I'm not sure what the reference is to your question, but
Everybody keeps saying that this is not a taxpayer-funded project because we're getting the money from the state. But as a citizen of the state, I pay state taxes. Therefore, as a taxpayer to the state, I am paying from my taxes for the bridge. And I just was wondering what taxpayer funds were.
Sure. Yeah. So I have not said that we're not using taxpayer dollars, but maybe to the point of reference is no local taxpayer dollars. It could be potentially what was meant. I'm not sure what comment you're specifically talking about, but certainly we got direct appropriation from the general fund of the state of Arizona. Those are tax dollars that were paid by residents of the state of Arizona and sent to us. So I hope that clarifies your question. Yeah.
I know I made the comment and maybe I misspoke, but it is taxpayer dollars, but it's our taxpayer dollars coming back to us. If we didn't get that money from the state, it'd go to someone, our tax dollars would go to somebody else, 35.5 million. So it's coming back to us for our benefit.
Thank you. Also, where the bridge is coming out, how are you going to prevent traffic on the London Bridge?
What is your specific question?
So when the second bridge empties out onto McCulloch Boulevard, just before Beachcomber and between both entrances to London Bridge Beach Park, when they are going on to McCulloch Boulevard, will they be turning right or left with their vehicles if they're going to the beach or if they're going to Site 6 or the marina or that beach? How will that stop any traffic backup on McCulloch Boulevard at Lake Havasu Avenue?
I have no idea what you're specifically asking. So when you come up to the intersection, you're going to turn left or right at a stop sign, and then you're going to go to the next stop sign, and you're going to go
three-way stop, or will it go and then there's a stop sign like at the end of the parking lot for Beachcomber Boulevard and McCulloch Boulevard?
Yeah, so that's not where it comes out. Do you want to maybe, Mr. Harper?
Yeah, so there will be a three-way stop there.
There will be a three-way stop, and then there will be a four-way stop at Beachcomber.
Yes, another 1,000 feet down. And we've done traffic analysis, and it doesn't show that there's going to be any encumbrances there. So,
but that's because currently there are no encumbrances there.
When you do a traffic study, you take into account growth. So I think it was 2045 is what we looked at, growth in.
I'm certain that's what they thought on Mesquite in front of Cornerstone also. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the council on this item?
Mr. Mayor.
And Mr. Knudsen?
Again, to lots of conversation in terms of the cost and local taxpayer dollars and so forth. I just want to make sure that we're perfectly clear in terms of the conversation. So the design of the bridge was, and the cost of the bridge is accounted for in the conversation we just had. We have identified an opportunity to improve on our utilities in that area, right? And we talked a lot about that on the onset. So there is additional dollars that are being spent on the bridge project that include the utilities in that area, water, wastewater, and we'll be bringing an item for council here that was a really genius approach that will be coming up on the next agenda in terms of that wastewater line that's in that area too. But I just want to make sure that on the record, Bridge Road paid for through the appropriation and the conversation I had, but there are some utility improvements that we're making in the area. The opportunity is ripe. While we're doing the bridge construction, we should be working on the utilities as well. So it just makes a lot of sense.
Thank you, Mr. Knudsen.
Mayor, if I understand correctly, that was on a CIP that potentially, wasn't there a wastewater on the CIP that would be potentially to improve the wastewater systems while we're doing the bridge because it just made sense?
Yep. Okay, all these conversations took place. It was in the CIP and have been discussions and approved by council. So
thank you.
No surprises.
All right. No one else wanted to address this at call to public. We'll go ahead and close, at the public hearing. We'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for any questions or possible motion.
Mayor, I just got a quick question.
Yeah, Councilmember Lynn?
Are we going to have to close the channel during any part of this project?
Yes, we are going to close the channel when we set the girders. And do you want to add to that, Scott? Okay.
All right. So the answer is yes, we're going to have to close the channel. So what would be expected is when we set girders, I believe we'll have about 6 channel closures. They'll most likely be at night, and we'll work around the schedule with the casino boat.
So it won't affect them?
No, we'll work with them. And it's a safety thing because when we have a girder there, the girders are literally 10 feet deep, like probably to the ceiling. And that middle span is, I think it's around 102 feet long. And we can't safely have people traveling when we're doing critical activities like that. We'll also close the channel when we do a bridge deck pour. And so just for safety. But other than that, we'll have channelization. So if we're working on a section of the bridge, kind of like if it's a roadway or something, we'll close a section of the channel. People can still go through just to keep a safe working zone in sections as we go across. So
I was just making sure that it wasn't going to affect the Havasu landing, and
no, it'll be.
We don't want to fight with them over there.
Anyways, did that answer the question?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a motion?
Yeah. Sorry, I had one more question. Just looking at the photos, one of the things I was advocating for was connectivity to our walking trail and to the channel. It does not look like it's on this picture. Is it still included?
Yes, it is. I'm sorry. I didn't draw it in on this.
It's okay.
picture.
Yeah. I mean,
So yeah, when you're walking down the channel where it currently ends, you actually, the walkway will continue along and go underneath the bridge between the pier and the abutment, and then goes up in an ADA compliant ramp up to the top, which connects and will allow you to cross over the bridge, which connects over by the island loop, which ultimately where you'll be. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Motion.
Yeah, Vice Mayor Diaz.
I move to approve the construction manager at risk construction services contract and guaranteed maximum price in the amount of $39,921,502.30 with Ames Construction Incorporated, and authorize the city manager to execute the contract with Ames Construction, Inc.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Vice Mayor Diaz, a second from Councilmember Lynn. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Dolan?
No.
Thank you.
Motion carries 6-1.
Thank you. All right, item 7.5 is discussion and possible direction regarding call to the public. I'll turn this over to you, Councilmember Moses.
Yeah, thank you. Well, in the famous words of Nick Simonetta, well, this will just be a real quick presentation. So this was brought up, and sorry it took me a little bit. I wanted to get some information, see what other cities are doing, all of that good stuff. I more want this to be a conversation, so I only included the code, which I can read out loud and see where we want to make a change. So I'll just read it, and then I'll make some comments on it, and then everybody else can chime in on there as well. So any individual, so this is code for a call to the public. Any individual wishing to address the council on any issue with the council's jurisdiction will be given the opportunity to speak at the call to the public. One call to the public will be placed on the agenda of all regular meetings of the council. Members of the public addressing the council shall step up to the microphone, give his or her name in an audible tone of voice for the record, and unless further time is granted by the council, shall limit his or her address to the council to 3 minutes. During the call to the public, the council is limited by state law to responding to criticism, asking staff to review the issue, or asking that the issue be placed on a future agenda. Any issue to be considered, discussed, or decided by council must properly notice an agenda item for consideration, discussion, and legal action as prescribed by this code and the Arizona open meeting laws. And so one of the things, we heard some feedback that, we didn't like this, moving it to the end. At the time, my thoughts were that we could make this an administrative move, not necessarily a codify. And I would still kind of agree with that assessment. I think this could just be an administrative move to move it back to the front. Things have kind of cooled down, I think, kind of because of the actions that we've taken. Because the problems that were happening at the time when we made this were real. For the kids trying to do a social studies project from their civics class at the high school, we're having to sit through a bunch of nonsense, to be honest. And they were only being able, like, they have bedtimes and curfews and they got to get back. And they were only, half the time, they're only able to sit through some of the nonsense. And so, which all nonsense is protected, right? But still, they weren't even able to be here long enough to see the actual business of the city, as well as the people who had to sit here and who are just trying to conduct business with the city and also had their problems. So I'm seeing both sides of this and just kind of hoping we can come to a compromise and figure out something. I'd be okay. So I noticed things have calmed down for us, but as I look to other cities or other, even our own county, things are going wild for them. And, you hear from them that they wish that they made this move. And so, if we were to move it back, I would, propose that there be some parameters put on it, whether there be just kind of some guardrails, right? So whether we stop it at 30 minutes, or something along those lines where we allow those people to have their opportunity, but not to bombard or overtake, the city council, because that's what it's for. I mean, we can't respond to anything that happens during call to the public. We can't, all of those things that are happening at call to the public are actually the better avenue to get anything done is to reach out to me or any one of us individually anyways. It really is more of a grandstanding opportunity, and that's sometimes what it gets abused for. And so hopefully we can protect that while also maybe putting in some guardrails. That's kind of the compromise that I'm proposing, but again, this is the will of the council, so I'd love to hear what everyone has to say.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Moses. So I'll start with where I stand on call to the public. We initially made this change. Well, first, call to the public is not required by state law to have a call to the public. However, I would advocate to keep a call to the public. I think open and transparent government is really important, but I also argue that the call to the public is not the most effective way to communicate. So we can listen intently, but we can't respond. We can't even give direction on, hey, that's not factual information, or go to the website and get the info, or it's available here, or the event's on Tuesday. I mean, we can't do any of those things that makes it an effective two-way conversation because of state law. So I would advocate for saying at the end of the meeting, the reason that I advocate for that is that this is a business meeting. We're administering the city code that's administered by us as council. So we require people to come before us for certain things, either by code. So either a zoning issue, a liquor license, an item that's over $100,000, several different things that we require folks to go to. As we saw today, we had lots of expensive engineers and people in the audience that, are here and have traveled from a far distance. And if we have a call to the public that lasts an hour or 2 hours before the actual regular meeting begins, it creates issues for all of those things. So an open government still allows the ability for a call to the public. At the end of the meeting, it allows for our residents that have sat through the meeting and learned something or heard something or participated in the meeting in some way to give feedback at the end of the meeting when we're finished with it. But I will do whatever the will of the council is. If this council wants us to have call to public at the middle of the meeting, let's have it at the middle of the meeting. If we want to have it at the beginning of the meeting, let's have it at the beginning of the meeting. So I would entertain the conversation that we're having this evening, get the feedback from all of the council, and I would advocate that we do not have a change to the code that Councilmember Moses read. I'll just administratively change it to whatever the majority of this council wants to have. That then allows the flexibility when we have a council in 6 months that says, hey, I want to have it at the middle. I want to have it after the second item. I want to have wherever they want to have it. We can move it. But again, based on the will of the council at that time, it gives that flexibility. If this council did want to move it to the front of the meeting, I would advocate also for some sort of time limit. Bullhead City offers a call to the public at the beginning of the meeting. It's for the first 30 minutes. And after the first 30 minutes is up, the call to the public is closed and they moved on to the regular portion of their meeting. But those are my thoughts on it, and happy to hear feedback from our council.
Mayor, I just want to say that why are we doing this now? It was during a survey study that was brought up. Everybody knows my opinion on this. I campaigned on it. I always said, if they don't listen to me, they don't listen to you. I believe this is the house of the people, and I think them feeling comfortable to be able to come here, and they shouldn't have to sit 5-6 hours through all this either to tell us things that they're concerned about. Maybe they did talk to staff, but I don't need to get into a long lecture why I believe it should be at the front of the public. Michelle will probably tell you why she doesn't think there should be a time frame, but I'm asking why, because everybody knew that once this election was over, I think it's very fair to say that I definitely wanted it. I was always open. I wanted it in the front of the agenda. I'm sure Vice Mayor Diaz says the same. Councilwoman Lynn says the same. But out of the blue, Cameron, you wanted to bring this now. And so I question why now? Because whatever we do right now, it's going to change when a new council seats, because I know what the mayor was going to say. I know what Councilmember Koch's going to say, and I pretty much know what Dolan's going to say. But you said to me that you were willing to listen, and that if you thought the reason why we didn't have what was the study that we did, the survey that we did, said that they didn't have a lot of trust in us, so they didn't feel that they were open enough with us, that we were not transparent enough with them. And I said, well, one of the reasons is a lot of people are said they don't want to come to the call to public because they're not going to sit there for 6 hours. They too have children at home. They too have other things to do. They do still have to get up and go to work in the morning, just like the high school students that are only here maybe once a year. Twice a year. I mean, I don't even see them here this much. So I don't know why they were a priority. So again, I'm asking you, Councilmember Moses, why now? Why did we have to do this right before the election? And now that the election is here, why are we discussing it now?
I think you think I'm thinking more about the election than I am. It was literally on a whim when I heard your words during a council meeting, and I said, "Hey Nancy, I'll go along with you. Let's do it. Let's figure out a path forward." So I don't know what you're implying. I did my due diligence. I went through the process, figured out a meeting that worked for me, and I did it. I don't know.
Simple.
It's if you want to table this, table it, and you can vote on that. But it's not as nefarious as you think it is.
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Councilmember Dolan. Actually, Councilmember Lynn's going to go first, then Vice Mayor Diaz, and then we'll go to you.
I just have a quick question. So as we just read over this ordinance, nowhere in this ordinance says that it has to be at the end. So I'm just curious. We've done it before, and this is stupid to even think this way, but there's been items that we've moved up on the agenda. If we didn't even change it tonight, and I wanted to, at the next meeting, move the call to the public to the front and ask for that to be moved up, I could do that. Correct? Because this isn't, there's nowhere written in here that it's at the end.
Yeah, so the mayor is responsible for the agenda, so the mayor can move it. And so
where does that say that?
There's another, this is only the section for call to the public. So you'd have to expand out the rest of that code section.
The rest of the code says that the mayor gets to.
Yeah,
maybe we should address that part.
Mayor and Councilmember. So there is another code section that just talks about order of business, and it's section 2.04.250. And in that section, it just lists out all the items that can be on the agenda. It used to, years ago, list the specific order of the items, and we changed that. So now it just lists what items can be on. And then it does say the order of business may be rearranged upon the direction and approval of the mayor.
Okay, so I could ask the mayor at a meeting and you could tell me no.
But I would, from my perspective, if we had something agended and it was at the end or the beginning or the middle, wherever it's at, there's prior to me being elected and I had business in front of the council, I would come to the meeting based on where it's at on the agenda. So I might not get here right at 5:30. I might come at 6:05, knowing that my item's number 6 on this. So I wouldn't want to change it on the floor. I'd want the residents to have certainty that it's going to be at the beginning, it's going to be at the end, it's going to be after item 2. Yeah, wherever it's at, just so that they know.
I agree. I wouldn't want to do that, but I'm just saying I could do that.
Yes, and I would not deny that.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't want to do that. I wouldn't want to do that everything. And I think my issue I get the time limit thing, but this is kind of where I have an issue. There's been some issues that have come to the council, and we'll have an entire room that is one direction and another side of the room that's a different direction. And if all of these ones get to speak first in the first 30 minutes, and we hear nothing on this side because there's no control who gets up there quickest. And even if you use little blue things, once your 30 minutes is up, it's up. So I kind of have a problem with the time restriction. I don't know how we can do it. I see why you want to do it, but I'm concerned with getting everybody to be able to voice their opinion.
In my search, some cities do a lottery. So you can take the first 10 out of a lottery, you know what I mean? To quell some of those concerns is what they're trying.
I don't like that. I still think that's silencing some of our public.
Yeah, Councilmember Lynn, I was talking with Councilmember or Vice Mayor Diaz yesterday. So there would be different strategies that we would employ. So if we had a full room that was here, and to your point, half of it was on one side and half appeared to be on the other side. One, we can grant additional time. So that's already in this code that Councilmember Moses read earlier. We can grant more time, or we can reduce it. We can reduce from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. We can also do consensus, try to bring people that are for the topic, have a spokesperson and speak on behalf of them and give them more minutes. We talked about someone that's opposed to it, have them speak on behalf and give them more minutes so that both arguments are there. But again, we can try it. If with no changes to call the public, I'm willing to do whatever the consensus is of this council. So if you say, let's move it to the front and let's have 30 minutes as a trial. If that's not working, we change it, and we can administratively change that based on the feedback of the council. Yeah. Mr.
And I understand where you're going with that, Michelle. But so if it's like a specific issue for or against, usually that only happens when it's on the agenda. So and we're not going to limit when they're on the agenda. I mean, very rarely, when certain people for COVID were here, there wasn't really people against it there, you know what I mean? Or for it. There was just people voicing concern. So I think you're talking about specific issues that really only happen when there's a contentious item that's on the agenda.
Yeah, Vice Mayor Diaz.
And I could say this because I've witnessed it in other cities too, where if it's, as Councilmember Moses said, if it's an agenda item, the mayor or whoever's running the meeting will say, if it's an agenda item, please wait till that item is on the agenda to discuss it, to recall to the public these are items that are not agendized. Now, if you took a picture of this room right now, that's exactly why call to the public should be at the beginning of the meeting. Because the room was full and they weren't all the people that were presenting to us. There was residents that left also because it's a long meeting. Now I'm a big Constitution guy, so I think call to the public at the beginning of the meeting, or having at the end of the meeting, I should say, does not give the citizens the feeling that they have the ability to address their government. And that's one of the 5 tenets of the First Amendment. Very rare that you're going to come in here and it's going to be 2 to 3 hours of public comment. Of call to the public. That's very rare. And then we had a couple of issues a few years ago when we had the drags thing and it got crazy and COVID. I know it was like a dental appointment where you're getting a root canal. It's just on and on and on and on. But that's very rare. That's in weird circumstances. But I'm a big advocate of having it at the beginning of the meeting. And if we put some kind of guardrails in place, as long as they're not too restrictive, because some cities have also gotten sued for silencing people during call to the public and having too many guardrails, and they've actually lost due to silencing their right of free speech. So we have to be careful with that. But I think having the proper guardrails, possibly, I'm good for that. But as far as moving it to the front of the meeting, I'm all for that. That would be my vote, to move it back to the front of the meeting. And you could just do that by just saying, getting the consensus of the council.
We'll get the consensus
Yeah.
as we have the discussion.
Yeah.
Councilmember Dolan?
Yeah, sorry, I had to find the unmute button. I think it's funny people know what I would say. I like call to the public. I think it's a great way for the public to express things that are going on. I like it when it's initiated by the public, when it's genuine public coming in and wanting to do stuff. What I have a problem with is when certain council members weaponize call to the public, they stack the room with people and they create it. So if that's the case, I think we should hear them. And I think people also coming, they haven't had a chance to talk on the agenda items, so yeah, I think it's great. Let's do it. I mean, like I said, but for a group priding themselves and having a majority and really wanting a super majority, I think this is great. It's good as a good way for the people. If that majority comes in and they want to cut this and do that, then have the schools, the parents come in and, that want the water pad and stuff like that. So yeah, no, I think it's a great idea. I was against it in the past because it was weaponized and people would be in the room and they were told to be there by council members. So if people come on their own, and great, but so I'm a yes vote on this.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Dolan. Are there any other comments? So let's open up the public hearing. Let's see what feedback we get, and then we'll come back and try to get a consensus or give direction for any changes. So this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the City Council on this item?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I really want to say that I enjoyed when, actually I did not enjoy it when Council Member or Vice Mayor Lane initiated the whole moving the call to the public to the back of the meeting, because I thought it was really mean. But as I started attending council meetings and having to sit through 5 hours of council meetings, sometimes not having to, but just enjoying and getting to and being able to, that I do realize that having the call to the public at the back of the meeting is actually gave me a chance as a citizen to listen to the agenda items, to see what was going on, and then to bring up different things at the end of the meeting. I enjoy that. However, I do notice that your consent agenda does not have a call to the public. And because of that, when there are items on the consent agenda that people have questions about, they cannot question. No one can question the consent agenda. And if you have a call to the public and you're going to move it on the agenda anywhere, I would like to suggest that you move it prior to the consent agenda so that you can also address those issues as well as during the call to the public. I'm really grateful for the call to the public. Just want to say that, and I can't wait till the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Toy. Yeah, so just to address some of your comments, when it comes to the consent agenda, and I know you've done this before, you can talk to a council member and they'll remove that item for you. You can speak to any of us right before the meeting, or you can reach out in advance. And like I said, I know you've done that in the past, and those items have been pulled so that they can have some additional discussion. State law outlines what is on consent agenda or what is eligible, and it's things that are routine in nature, and that's how they end up there. But that doesn't mean that we always get it right. If a resident has a question, we want to answer that. So you can either reach out to us in advance of the meeting, individually, or of course at the beginning of the meeting, you can ask any of the council members. And I don't think that there's ever been a time that someone would not pull an item for a resident that had a question on it.
Right. Which reminded me about the whole fact that when I did request that about the Rocky Point sister city thing, I still haven't seen any advertisement on the Lake Havasu City Facebook page about Rocky Point since we became sister cities with Rocky Point. I just wanted to let you know that was really disappointing.
Yeah.
And, but yes, I have asked for that. Like that was one thing I did ask for. And yes, I know that people can ask for that. But if you have the call to public before the consent agenda, then they won't have to ask.
So you give opportunities for citizens to talk to us, but then give opportunities to not talk to us? Is that what I'm hearing you advocate for?
It was specifically saying that they don't have to if that was before the, or at least a call to the public specifically for the consent agenda, and then a regular call to the public at the end of the meeting. Might be both.
All right. Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the city council on this item? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council. So what we've had some discussion, understanding where folks stand. It sounds like the majority, I'm not trying to put words in everyone's mouth, so we'll go down the dais to find out. But it looks like move called to the public to the beginning of the meeting. It doesn't sound like anyone's advocating strongly to change the code that way. Just administratively, we'll move it. It sounds like there is some discussion on a time limit that has some flexibility to that. Not full consensus, so I'll need to go down the dais for that. And then we'll go from there. So, Councilmember Moses.
Yeah, can I lead?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So I will. So since advocating for this, I've had multiple people reach out to me expressing, displeasure with us moving it. And so, it's very important to me. And I hear them and I hear the others. It's very important to me that I build compromise and build consensus. I've proven that, in my votes throughout my career up here. So I will not support it only moving to the front without some guardrails. If we can't find a consensus here of some form of guardrails, then I will not support it, and we'll leave it as is, and things can happen as they may.
Thank you, Councilmember Moses. Councilmember Koch.
I should probably let Nancy answer for me since she knows what I'm going to say, but I'll take the opportunity to answer it myself because she doesn't know what I was going to say. The reason that we moved it originally was because we had so many people here pretty much saying things that were not appropriate for all ears in the audience, and because it was taking up people's time that we're here to do business. We haven't had that issue, and it's not in writing that we have to have it at the end. So if we want to move it back to the beginning, we always have the ability to move it back to the end if it becomes a problem. And so I came with an open mind to discuss that opportunity, and I still have an open mind to discuss that opportunity, and I would support that. I would also be interested in finding out what guidelines would look like, but I'm not opposed to moving it back to the beginning.
Thank you. Councilmember Lynn?
I just want to put it back to the beginning. I don't really think we need any guardrails, so I'm just supporting it, moving it to the beginning.
Vice Mayor Diaz, and then we're going to go to Councilmember Dolan, and then we'll go to Councilmember Campbell.
So I want to move it back to the beginning. If we do put a guardrail in, that's something we could, if it's being restrictive to the people, then we could always take the guardrail off. So, but then what is the proper time limit? Are you talking about giving people 3 minutes a person, or what is it now for?
It's 3 minutes. A call to public is 3 minutes, and then during our public hearing, it's 5 minutes, which, I would, for as far as guardrails for me, I just know, in speaking with Mayor Dahlman from Bullhead City, that they do 30 minutes. They seem to think that works, but again, it's a whole different community with a different set, so I don't want to put too much merit in it, but we have the flexibility. We start with 30 minutes, and I can see based on what call to the public is in the room and kind of get the eyes of the council to see, do we want to extend this out for some additional minutes? But we would do that at each council meeting. Again, we can change it if it's not working, but that's what I'd advocate for. And we can talk about specifics of it. I mean, so right now I have you down for front with potential guardrails.
Okay.
And then we'll come back what guardrails look like. Councilmember Dolan?
Yeah, I'm great with moving it back to the front. I just, hope we all don't weaponize it, like I said. But I think it's great. The public should come. But I don't really mean, I kind of like guardrails, but I don't like that word. I think when in the past, it was a lot of stuff that wasn't really under the purview of the city government. And so it was just kind of complaining about events that we didn't have anything to do with. So, I think there should be a way to get the room back if it is just a something that does nothing to do with the city, then yeah, I think we need a way to continue business if it gets out of hand, but I don't want it to appear that we're limiting what people can say. And, because like I said, if people have concerns, they should be able to voice it. So I guess I'd be curious to see what the guardrails were.
Sure.
I think Mr. Dolan just announced what the guardrails should be. We just make sure if something gets out of control, we just, say it's not in the purview of the city, then it's not a proper call to the public item.
Perfect. Councilmember Campbell.
Mayor, and I've always believed that. I've seen a lot of councils, the way they ran, and there's sometimes they'll say, hey, if you're going to continue to repeat yourself 16 times over, only the first 5 people, or pick 2 people from your group, you pick 2, you can already see the room get packed. Control the room. Get up here. I've seen mayors in the past control the room. If it needs to be 30 minutes, great. Maybe we have a really long agenda. You can just look around the room. It's not a really hot topic or it's one side or the other. I think you chair the meeting. You did it before. I think sometimes we can gavel people. I think we can control people if it's just wasting all of our times. But I'm here to listen. I don't want to put 30 minutes on. I thought of that too when I heard it. And then Michelle gave a very good point of that. Somebody comes in and gets all the blue tickets and gives it to their side. I don't want to do lotteries. I don't want to do all of that. And we only hear one side and it's sorry, the 30 minutes are up and we're all sitting there going, wow, didn't hear about anybody on the other side. So that's what changed my mind on that. But again, yeah, I say move it to the front. I say that let the mayor, you've been doing this for a long time. You know how to control a room, control the room.
All right, in the final one, I still think it should be in the back of the meeting, but obviously the consensus is it's at the front of the meeting. So we will move it to the front of the meeting, starting at the next council meeting, and that's where a call to the public will be. And we'll just make sure that we stick with items that are in the jurisdiction of the city, and that if we have a long agenda, that we'll state that at the beginning of the meeting, and that we need to try and use some strategies where we have people that have shared viewpoints, have a spokesperson. And if we need to make adjustments from that in the future, we will do so. All right. Sounds good. We will move on to the next item on our agenda. And that is item 7.6. It's a cooperative purchase of a new flight submersible pump for the London Bridge lift station from James Cook and Hobson Inc. Mr. Yarborough.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. It's an honor and a privilege to be here with you this evening to serve our community and to speak on behalf of the Public Works Wastewater Division. Presented before you this evening is a request for authorization to purchase a new 250 horsepower flight submersible pump. It's similar to the pump that you guys approved at the last meeting at our North Regional Treatment Facility. The difference being that this one is specific to our London Bridge lift station. This pump's been in service for about 20 years and has seen about a half dozen repairs over the course of that 20 years. With that, we're requesting authorization. Let me touch on something here real quick. So this pump is one of our duty pumps at the London Bridge lift station, and it is responsible for conveying approximately 1 to 1.5 million gallons of wastewater per day from our mainland to our island treatment facility. With that, I think the other important factor, and I know this came up at the last meeting, just to kind of put it in perspective, when you start to reach the end of the lifespan of these pumps, the 20-year lifespan, and with the amount of wastewater that these pumps have moved over the course of that time, it reaches a point where it becomes more advantageous and physically responsible for us to replace them rather than to repair them. With that, I'll forgo the rest of my comments, and if you have any questions, I'd certainly be happy to answer any of them.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions from members of the council or for Mr. Yarborough? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for any discussion or possible motion.
Mayor, motion.
Councilmember Moses.
Yeah, I move to approve the cooperative purchase of a new Floodgate submersible pump from James Cook Hobson, Inc. in the amount of $160,334 plus applicable taxes.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Moses, a second from Councilmember Koch. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Oh, Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, item 7.7 is award bids for the citywide pest and weed control services. Mr. Young.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. A small 45-minute presentation here. Just kidding. We put out to bid for our weed and pest control. This bid is designed for one person to take it as well as multiple. This year, multiple took it. Parker Pest Control for the pest category and URW for the weed category. So I'm here to present this to you to be approved for the next upcoming year. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Are there questions from members of the council? Councilmember Campbell?
I've been waiting for this one all day.
Okay.
First off, what was our total budget? I see that they had different categories, but let's just say, what was your budget for weed and pest? What did you have?
I believe we had right about 100,000. We had to bump it up a little
for both
last year. Yeah.
Really? And so now,
and both of them together at 106,000.
The reason why I was excited about this, I didn't know what your budget was, but by looking at some of these bids, I was assuming that we're going to be a little closer to them, like at about 150,000. And what I was going to say to you is where it says weeds, I think we could do 10 times better with our weeds. So I was going to do my favorite change order thing, which was basically if the lowest bidder was 87,000, I wanted to see twice as many weeds done. But you're telling me we can barely afford the weeds that we did.
We went off the last few years, so yes.
Okay, I'm only one council member, but if I could give direction, I think we need to do a lot more weed control in the city because I think it's gotten it doesn't. We could do better. I just am not happy with a lot of the weeds. So when I saw this, I was just saying, throw another whatever, spend all your budget is what I was going to say on weeds.
We have had talks in the past with those that were taking care of it when things didn't go well, and they righted that, and that's where we came along.
But I want those weeds all the way down the bike path, not just where they stop. But maybe next year. Maybe next year we'll get some more weeds.
So, Council, Mr. Young, what is the weed? Where are we doing this at? And
there's a
all
big long
over
list on the
city
back page.
facilities along the highway, multi-purpose paths, and those kind of things.
Okay, and Councilmember Campbell, what are you talking about that you want more of?
I'm unhappy with where the bike paths on the south side, particularly, they're all weedy and weeds coming up through the bike path. And the bike path is beautiful. And I hate to see all the weeds. We stop about there.
I should stop you there. The weeds to get handled are where the gravel is only.
Well, we need to move on. We need to go all the way. We need to do all the weeds along the highway. We need to find you more money.
Okay.
To the natural desert vegetation, you want weed control?
No, along the bike paths. I think around the island, you see there, that's a little bit better because of the residence area there. But I would like to, I have said that all along. That's another one of my things. I would like to see some of our highways more beautified, especially where the bike paths are. I would like to see our bike paths also repaved and, all those things. We've had those conversations. But
the multi-use path, what we currently are doing along the highway are the areas that are gravelled along the highway.
That are landscaped.
Yeah. If they're not landscaped, it's natural desert vegetation.
But that needs to be improved too. That was part of my appropriation budget.
Well, we still have that for the RTAC bill for this next year.
Right. Yeah. I agree. But while we're talking about weeds.
No, I just want to understand.
I'm just saying that I think where it stops and it's right in front of, right before you hit, let's see, where is that? Scott Drive. There's another spot that's just right there. And then it starts again. There's gravel and there isn't gravel. But I just wish that some of those areas were more beautified. And then it starts again, like right before you get off of Mulberry. And then it's along and then it stops. And then it's the bike path. So I'm a big advocate of improving the bike path. And so
You're talking about the multi-use path along the highway?
Yes.
Okay. Scott Drive threw me off a little bit. Yeah. So, okay. I get it. I get your point.
No, I've been staring at it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I get it. Yeah. I get your
And I've
point.
even asked for state appropriations for it. I'm going to fight for it again. So I really would like to see all of how many people want to see your highways beautified a little bit? I do. Okay. Yep. All right. Maybe one. Okay. Thanks much. Appreciate it.
Mr. Young.
Yeah, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Young, so I noticed it says annual quantity too. So they're just spraying it. Just every 6 months they're just spraying the weeds.
They spray it twice, and if the weeds come more, they come back.
They come. Okay, all right. And then I noticed that one item, one of them was once a year. One of them was one. It's not enough. Yeah, the water treatment plant. Okay, so they just spray, and if they come back in between spray every 6 months, in between the 6 month period, they will come back and basically do. That's what they do at my residence. So the same thing. Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions before we open the public hearing? All right. This is a public hearing. Women like to address the City Council on this item. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council for any discussion or possible motion.
Motion.
Yeah, Vice Mayor Diaz.
I move toward citywide pest control services categories A, C, and D to Parker Pest Control LLC, and citywide weed control services category B to URW LLC, doing business as United Right of Way, approve expenditures exceeding the threshold annually, but not exceeding the annual department budget for the duration of the contracts and all renewal terms.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Vice Mayor Diaz. We have a second from Councilmember Moses. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Dolan?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 8 is our call to the public. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the City Council on items within the jurisdiction of Lake Havasu City. They have to be within the jurisdiction of Lake Havasu City. We'll stop that. We can't have a two-way conversation, but we can listen intently. Please just make your way to the podium. State your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Bonnie Toy. Mayor, City Council, I do want to address a couple of things. One is the safety on Miss Smoke Tree Avenue from Swanson to Mesquite for Fright Night. I just want to address that ahead of time because that gives you plenty of time to bring not the street lights, whatever the temporary lights that you had up Rotary Park during July 4th. Some of those temporary lights really should be used in that area a little bit because it is very dark. And on Fright Night, they're wearing costumes. And I don't believe that the children or anybody in that area should have to worry about the risk to their lives. And then I just want to say that Dolly Parton was an amazing woman, and I don't think there would be anybody in the city who would be upset if you lit the bridge up for a few days in her honor. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Toy. Would anyone else like to address the City Council during call to the public? All right, we'll go ahead and close the call to the public. Item 9 is current events. Are there any council committee reports? I do have one on behalf of the Mojave County Water Authority. You may have read in the news that the United States has released its record of decision and the operating guidelines for the Colorado River management. The Arizona Reconsultation Committee met yesterday to review the impacts to Arizona. The record of decision adopted the Lower Basin proposal for shared cuts. The record of decision outlines a 10-year framework with 2-year intervals so the system can react to hydrological adjustments in the system. We are opposed to the record of decision not treating the upper and the lower basin under the same framework. Nevada filed a complaint in federal court yesterday regarding the record of decision, and Arizona has said that all users will share in the negotiated cuts, but has not released any framework of what that looks like. The adoption of the lower basin proposal for shortage sharing and the operating guidelines is very beneficial to all of Arizona, especially the on-river communities. Those are the communities that rely entirely on Colorado River water. And the operating guidelines for 27-28, which is the first 2-year interval, protect the residents and the economies of our on-river communities. And water recreation on both Lake Havasu and Mojave should not be impacted. And there will be more to come as we work through what all of that looks like. But that's the most recent. The record of decision was again released on Friday. It's available on their website. You can start reading through all of that information. But progress is being made. The complaint filed in federal court by Nevada throws a little bit of uncertainty into what it was. We had a certain situation. Now becomes uncertain depending on what the courts do, but we're moving with that framework for right now. Are there any other council committee reports? All right. Our future meetings, our next meeting is on Tuesday, September 8th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. It'll be a regular meeting. And then on Tuesday, September 22nd, 2026 at 5:30 p.m., we will also have a regular meeting. Are there any future discussion items? Item 12, we are adjourned. Thanks for being here. Be kind, and we'll see you next time.